Hello everyone and welcome along to the season finale of the NGK and NTK Esports Cup, of course, here from the Nordschleife. It's going to be a tough and tricky race. The points of the standings have been thrown out the window as we restart anew and deal with all of the prizes to come with. Of course, this broadcast coming a little bit more special as we're not just going from home or from anywhere around the globe. We are coming from RaceSpot HQ as well. It's myself, Lewis McGlade, Patricia Stalazzane alongside, and like you say, here we are. This is fantastic. This is really amazing. We've been working towards this the entire season, obviously, and now we're here. It's going to be a very exciting evening, and I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, indeed. Look, this has been a long road for all of our drivers to get to this point. But you know how much have they had to battle for? We're dealing with 40 of the very best. There's been thousands, that have tried to qualify their way into, but now it's just about the top 40. Yes, absolutely. So we talked about this before. There have been so many races just qualifying for this race. So winning the entire championship is on tonight. So it's going to be very, very intense, I think. And obviously racing on the Nordschleife, one of the most dangerous and most intense racing tracks there are on this world. So yeah, it's a very high level that we're going to see tonight, and also a very, very crazy track, of course. Now, you've done a few laps of it today. We're going to talk about that a little bit later on, don't you worry. But you know, it's like I say, it is really, really tricky. There's been a lot of hard circuits they've had to deal with throughout the season, but this is obviously right at the top of the pile. When it started, all the way back at the start of the season, we've raced at places like Imola, we've raced at places like Oulton Park, at Rudskogen as well. Yeah. It's been a crazy season of very difficult circuits. Absolutely, I agree with that. The calendar was amazing. I actually enjoyed doing all the track guides, obviously, that you've seen on YouTube. And yeah, I think it's really cool because I think for a lot of drivers there have been tracks that are new. I, for example, had never driven on Rudskogen, and I think it's an amazing track, so I enjoyed that for sure. And now obviously the grand finale, which in my opinion is the best one so far. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, everyone loves a little bit of the Nürburgring, but looking at those, I think one of the major talking points is that Alexander Thieber's won a race on every single one of those circuits, which is pretty scary. He is definitely the favourite for the evening, but that's, we'll discuss a little bit that as well. He did take the double win, of course, at Imola, but the Nürburgring is a different style of circuit. It's one that can certainly bite, and he has had quite a lot bitten throughout the season. Yeah, you said that before. Like, he's had a couple of wins, obviously, during the season, and he is a favorite for sure. But you can lose it all. It's just one race. There is no rewind. There's no two races, and it's all about tonight. So if he just has one spin, for example, the whole championship was for nothing. So all the wins are gone. So I think it's going to be very stressful, and he will have to perform under these circumstances, which will make it even harder for him, I think. Absolutely. Now let's talk about the timetable for the evening, because like I said, we've normally been dealing with two races. We've been talking about that really exciting reverse grid race that happens. None of that tonight. We are dealing with one qualifying session and then one race. The qualifying session, it'll be about 15 minutes long. It'll be a private session, so it's just them versus the circuit. And once I get through the race, once I get through the qualifying session, we'll go into the race. The race will be 10 laps time. Estimated race length, an hour and 20, hour and 30 minutes. It's going to be a long and tricky one out there for the drivers to navigate. So got to keep your noses clean. And to be fair, I think qualifying is actually quite important around here. You don't want to be involved in that mid-lane. There's 40 cars out there. Exactly, 40 cars, and it's about to start. So I don't know how calm they're going to be knowing what's on the game tonight, But I think they'll be serious, and I think they'll be calm in the first couple corners and manage to come through properly, I hope, at least. And then I think they'll spread out a little bit, and it will be all about pace, but I think we'll just wait and see. Well, let's talk about the prizes they'll be dealing with, though, because it is the important bit. Of course, there are three prizes for the top three different prizes. The first of which is the Bavarian Syntec wheel that we have here. This one's pretty fun. Obviously, it's kind of like the Mercedes wheel. Obviously, feels fantastic. It's quite heavy as well, which is what you'd expect from a wheel of this kind of quality. So that's fun. But then for second place, there is also this NGK tailored rig. This is well, to be fair, I would say between these two, that's very cool. This is also very, very cool. Absolutely. I'd be happy with second place for something like this. For sure. I mean, I had to save up so much money to get my own rig, so I think just getting it gifted for this kind of event is amazing. Absolutely. There is also a couple of other prizes, including for third place, you will get one of these out right over here. You can spot it just here. The AlphaTech Racing LED screen as well. So I know like sim drivers and stuff, they like website having as much information as possible. 4th through 10th also get themselves an NGK NTK goodie bag, which is always a little bit of fun. Don't know what's in that, so you have to tell me if you finish between 4th and 10th. And also the driver that gets the fastest lap will receive a VRS subscription, which, to be fair, as someone who does use a VRS subscription, yeah, fair enough, it's pretty good.
That's for sure, yeah. I've talked about this before, that there's always like some kind of special deals that you can get on VRS, but getting a free subscription is obviously very much nicer. Always.
Let's talk about the circuit then. So the Nürburgring, you were obviously there today.
Yeah.
It's a tricky circuit. It's all the way around. Everything's it's almost dynamic with how difficult it is.
It's not called the Green Hell for nothing. Yeah. I was surprised the first time I drove there, like how crazy it actually is out there. So once you start a race there, it's usually just shattered cars like left and right. It's actually crazy because you see these individual crashes always happening, but once you drive there, those cars are not going anywhere. They're there, and you race for hours and hours. Also tonight we have 1.5 hour stint. That's quite long for a driver to focus and drive on high performance, obviously, through and through. So yeah, it's a very, very intense track, but it's so much fun. For me, it's a great like mix out of tarmac racing and a little bit of rally vibes, I would say, because you have the jumps, you have the kind of limit racing, and it's a quite long track. It takes a while to learn by heart, actually. So yeah, I just love it a lot. So I think it's going to be amazing for the drivers tonight as well.
I'm going to put you under a little bit of pressure.
Let's go.
Because I know the corner names, there's a lot of them. And what's the hardest part of the circuit? Do you know? Can you describe it?
Ask me for the most fun part of the circuit.
Most fun part.
Because I don't know the names I told you, but I love the part after the second jump. So there's like two compression parts where you jump like a little bit and then you have to brake immediately. And then there's like a long so
you got the Flansgaard and then up to the Stefan Bell effect.
Yeah, I think so. After Flansgaard, and that's the part where I love it the most. I think I haven't driven any faster car than a GT4, but it's really like it tickles you because you have to be on the limit, so you can like go flat or like pretty much, but it's very, very like on the edge, so I love that part.
Exactly. Now, obviously, you had the joy of taking a little lap and a little guide around here. So let's cut to that and see how to navigate the Nürburgring Nordschleife.
Hello again, my name is Patrizia Stelidzana and I'm a professional race car driver. Today we find ourselves on the famous Nürburgring Nordschleife in preparation for the big finale of the NGK NTK Esports Cup. I've raced here a couple times in real life, also currently doing my permit here, so I know why they call it the Green Hell. So let me show you a couple examples on why they do. So we are starting the lap from the box in the GP track. So instead of going into Südkehre straight to the Nordschleife, instead we are going to drive onto the GP track. For the ones who race in real life, they know how wearing for the car this part of the track is, much more than the Nordschleife itself, which is why we go quite slow here, try to save the car in a balance as to how much time we lose, because the couple seconds that you can win here in the Mercedes Arena and the Kurzanbindung, it's not worth the tire loss that you actually suffer from going fast here. So we're gonna have quite the chill GP track into the Kurzanbindung, which is quite actually sad in my opinion, because I enjoy the hairpin at the end of the long GP track. But that's not what we're here for today. We're here for the Nordschleife. So onto the back straight with the quick bend that we have here. Regardless of which car you drive, you always go flat out. Also with the Toyota today, this corner is flat out, and we're preparing for the chicane shortly before we go into the Nordschleife. So we brake here at the 50-meter mark because we're using the slower chicane. Accelerate out of the corner and go into the Nordschleife. Beware of this wall. Into the Sabine Schmitz Kurve. Rest in peace, Sabine. One of the biggest legends of the Nordschleife, probably. So this part is pretty much flat out depending on how warm your tires are. Mine aren't yet. So here we brake quite on time because regarding as to how it looks, it's much slower because it goes quite blind into the next chicane that we have here. Take the first curb and accelerate as soon as we can in preparation for Quiddelbach. This is the part on the Nordschleife where they used to take off with the old prototypes. It's quite fast, and they used to have a bump, and it's a bit of a uphill part. Also, this part here onto the Flugplatz is flat out. Quite a nice part of the track actually in real life, because it's quite quick in any car you race. We're going onto the Schwedenkreuz. We have a part on the Nordschleife which is called the Courage Corner, Mutkurve. However, this one takes quite a lot of courage as well, because you really have to know how much your tires can take in this one. It's not flat out, but it's still very, very fast. And now we're going into the Foxhole. Also one of my favorite parts of the track, with the compression coming up. In real life, it's quite the sensation. Feels like taking off in an airplane. Definitely a bucket list experience for all of you guys who haven't done it yet. It's also flat out with this car. Also here we have a blind corner. We prepare for it, because this part here is very, very slow, as you can see, and it's going back onto the straight. Now we are coming towards Breitscheid, a quite tricky corner actually, because it can be quite slow, and also traffic can come up in this place a lot, because the slow cars are very slow and the fast cars are very fast comparatively. We're coming towards Breitscheid with the baton wall, which we beware of in real life and on the simulator. So we are coming out of Bergwerk onto a longer straight into Kesselchen. I think the part where you can breathe through besides Döttinger Höhe on the Nordschleife. This is, I think, where the cars sort each other out, and where you can overtake the slower cars. So here in this longer part of the straight, we have the Courage Corner, or the so-called Mutkurve, which with this car is pretty much flat out. And we are coming towards a highlight of the track. First of all, here, second gear, very long corner. Preparing the axle here, because it can be quite tricky actually. We're coming towards the carousel. Probably one of the most famous parts of the Nordschleife. I think third gear, second gear, and we stay inside and just carry it through. Quite fun. Always an experience for everyone. Okay, so through this corner we can actually carry much more speed than we did now. Okay, so this double left-hander is downhill, so we have to beware of the braking point, which can be much sooner than anticipated. And we're coming towards the YouTube corners, because yeah, I guess this is the part where you as a racing driver have to prove yourself, because everyone's taking pictures and videos in real life. That's where all the spectators usually stand. We are coming towards the first little big jump that we have on the Nordschleife. You take off in this part, and in real life you have to quite embrace yourself and prepare for the landing, but here it's okay. Next one, the steering wheel gets a little bit loose here, but we stay flat out through the Pflanzgarten. This whole entire part, flat out, flat out, flat out. Now this right-hander, it seems like you could go flat out, but you don't. We brake. This part here is going uphill, so we can carry a lot of speed through this corner, as you see. Take the curb to prepare for this mini carousel. Take it on the inside, so much fun. We love it. And we're already coming to an end of the lap on the Nordschleife. just a couple bends before we come up to the Dettinger Höhe. Flat out as soon as you can so you reach top speed as soon as possible, and can carry a lot of speed obviously over the whole entire straight, because that's where you can lose a lot of time actually, considering it's a race. Considering it's a cup and it's quite hard to overtake on the Nordschleife, obviously, this is one of the best places, I guess, to overtake, because you can really use the slipstream of the driver in front and kind of put yourself on the side and overtake now shortly before Tiergarten. Flat, 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 and shortly before the bend we brake into second, or I did it with third, I think that's fine. Third gear coming onto the straight of the GP track. So that was it. Couple insights, one lap, just quickly around the Nordschleife. As I mentioned, it's one of my favorite tracks and I really enjoy driving it. I think it's much better to try it yourself than to listen to me talking. So yeah, I hope you're going to enjoy trying it yourself. I hope you got a couple insights, and I hope you're looking forward to the race as much as I do.
So I think the big question is, how many attempts did that take?
One
attempt?
Yeah,
but
right. Obviously I was cringing so hard watching it right now because I'm so unsure about the names of the track. There's one little break with like me looking at the map. It's Tiergarten. Yeah. No, anyway, it's about the track, not about me driving it. So exactly. I think everyone saw how long it is. Even with the cutouts, it takes nearly 10 minutes to drive it. It's so amazing. So I really hope that the drivers not only race for the prizes tonight, but also for the fun of it. I think it will be very
exactly.
intense.
I think like there are drivers like Thiebe, for example, who are here to win. They are here to take the victory, to go after the top prize. Of course they are. That's what these drivers are here for. There are quite a lot of other drivers a bit further back though, that maybe they're not even going to be fighting for the top 10, but they are here to be a part of this broadcast, to be a part of this event, to be a part of this journey. And hey, do you know what? Maybe they might sneak something. You never really know.
You never know. Like I said, with the Nordschleife, it's very crazy because you can just make one mistake and you're out. And I'm quite sure we have the damages on this car.
Oh yeah.
So it really just takes one mistake within those 90 minutes of racing that we're going to see to lose it all. So I think a lot of chances are open, even for the ones who potentially wouldn't make it into top 10 but could now.
So just to give you a little bit of a talking to as to what they've got here, they technically have 2 laps which they can do, but obviously the session is only 15 minutes. So Alexander Thiebe there, I'd say it was almost took a little bit too much curve, taking quite a lot of risk there. It's fine as long as he doesn't get an off track, right? If he gets an off track, this lap is done, it's invalidated, it's gone.
Really?
Yeah, so if you get a single off track, your lap is gone, you will start from the rear of the field. But you do have 2 laps. So I think you'll see drivers take a lot of risk for the first around 5 minutes of the session and then be calm for the next half of the lap. Because at least then, if you get an off track,
you can rewind.
You can jump back to pit lane and start again. It's not ideal, but you can.
But then there's zero place for margin.
Exactly.
0 margin for error. Sorry.
No. It's fine. 0 place for margin. It all works. It all works.
0 place for margin. My English is at its best. Well, like I said, I was driving myself the whole day, so I am very much in the driving vibe, less in the commentator vibe. But let's get into this.
Absolutely.
No, but it's quite stressful actually. It's also strategic and also quite stressful, because if you do miss something or like miss the apex, whatever, and rewind, then it's that.
Yeah, exactly.
And like you said, the starting position might not be crucial for the race, but it will be quite relevant, I think, where you position yourself on the track, and then overtaking 40 cars if you didn't make a lap is quite the challenge actually, so you shouldn't mess that one up.
Well, I remember a very long time ago, as we go through Flugplatz, drivers like Gergo Baldi, who have been so incredibly strong, fast, and such in sim racing, they've come to an event at the Nordschleife, taking part in the esports event at the Nordschleife, and something's happened in qualifying. They've had to start from the rear of the field. And you would say the Nordschleife has a lot of corners, a lot of overtaking opportunities around here, and it does. The problem is which one do you pick up? Alexander Thiebe goes through Schwedenkreuz, a little bit, maybe a little bit of wrestle of oversteer, just come over that crest, but nothing too major as we head through Arenberg and then down the hill towards Fuchshol. When you're watching the fast drivers like this, I'm sure you have this in real life, it almost doesn't look like there's much going on this lap. It looks very calm, very
it's
sedate.
not calm, trust me.
Exactly.
That's what I love about sim racing. I was just about to say, that's what I love about sim racing, that you can actually watch into the cockpit, which you cannot do in real racing, at least not properly. So you see, look at the focus, look at his hands working, and that for 10 minutes each lap. And like I said, you just make one mistake and you lose a couple seconds for one mistake within those 25 kilometers, whatever it is. And those couple seconds cost you places.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think getting a perfect lap in here is much, much harder than it could have been the whole season so far.
Very careful through the two left-handers here before we start dropping down the hill, getting nice and close to the curb. And then drop down into Kellenhard's, which I actually quite like Kellenhard quite a bit. You kind of got to go for a little bit of a later apex here because you've got that run through the chicane and then into miss, hit, miss. I'd actually say that this part of the track, and I don't fully know why, I'd say this is like my favourite bit. There's a really good flow around here once you actually find it.
Honestly, I was thinking that today, at least the car I'm racing with right now, which is a Permit B car and not like a proper car where you at least have a little bit of aero and, downforce. That is one of the scariest parts of the track actually, because you have to push really hard because you're going nearly flat out. So as soon as you lift, you lose a lot of time. However, the tires are barely holding you onto the track, so flying off there is actually quite the big risk actually in real life. So I think, it's a fun part, but also very, very scary.
A little wide there at Export, and you can see like the exhale there from Thiva. I think he knew that lap was, that corner rather was a little bit risky. Just went a little bit wide of the apex. And the thing is, if you run out wide there is an off track. There is not enough time now in the session where they'd be able to return to pit lane, get back out again and do a lap. So it's from now on, this is it. This is it. The laps are locked in. If you make a mistake from now on, that's it, it's done.
But then again, obviously, you have to find the fine balance.
Exactly.
You're not going to go slow just because you don't want to risk it. However, you don't want to fly out. He has to push, but he should not over push. However, we know Alexander Thiva to be one of the guys who will rather risk it all, I guess.
Oh yeah.
Either he wins or he just doesn't.
It was the interesting fact that I went through when I was talking about this beforehand. He's had 7 victories. He's had 7 podiums. All of them are victories. So that's interesting enough in and of itself. But he only had in the point standings coming into this, which obviously only decides who's in here. So you may be taking more risk in that or not. He only had a 35-point lead. And that was a 35-point lead over a driver who only had 4 podiums. And only one of those was a victory, which is Vince Peters.
So 6 victories less.
Which is, I find very interesting that, clearly Peters had more consistency.
I think the obvious conclusion, like we just said, is that he's really just a risk-it-all driver.
Exactly.
So he will go for the win. That's his only goal, I guess, which kind of makes him a usual racing driver, I guess. And it also makes sense because in a simulator you can obviously risk more. If you're racing in the real life, in the Nordschleife, you will not risk it all for that one lap. You will rather take the second place. But I think I would guess that Alex will go for it as well today, and he will not step back to play it safe.
No way. Not Alexander Thiva. I've never seen him do that. Over Hoact, with the highest point on the race circuit, and now we start dropping down the hill. This is always the part where on laps, I say this all the time, if you treat the Nürburgring and Nordschleife as 3 sectors, this being the final sector from Hoact onwards is the part where, at least I find, the most crashes happen. Because I feel like this is the part that people have practiced the least. Because getting to this point is an achievement of itself.
That is interesting.
It's really, I would say, of the hundreds of laps that I've done around the Nordschleife, probably most of them have already ended by now.
That's for sure true in the simulator, I would assume, because you said it, but funnily enough, today that was the case. I drove for 3 hours, like not full 3 hours, but over the time of 3 hours. And I think the most crashes that I saw were in that sector. So all the code 60s and everything were started from carousel. So yeah, you're right.
There we go. Clearly I know
That's things. A very cool statistic that you pulled out there.
I just made it up.
Well, it makes sense, so it's okay. I think most people would believe you. Now we're coming towards my favorite part. Hey,
Stefan Bellof through here. Like you said, in real life, this is quite a test. In this car, because you've got enough grip, I guess you probably aren't really pushed too close to that grass on the left-hand side of the drive.
Yeah, but in real life it's so intense
Yeah.
because you feel like you're in a rocket ship. Whatever car you're driving, it's usually quite fast part of the track anyway, and you feel like sitting in a rocket ship just going left, right, left, right, left, right.
Yeah,
it's
right.
really cool. I love it.
Here we are then up towards, as much as it's not the final corner on the circuit, it is Galgenkop. I find this one really, really tricky. You kind of got to go out quite wide, as you've just seen people do, and then pull it back in. You've got to kind of hold it a little bit tight before you run out onto the Dezember. And the problem with that is that sometimes you can have that little bit of a misjudgment and run out onto the grass and get a 1x. Now, I say in the race, you're less bothered about that. In qualifying, you're now at the back of the field, so you've got to be really careful with that. And now you've got to be, try and starve yourself from boredom. On the
No, but I swear to God,
long.
it doesn't matter whether it's on a simulator or in real life, you're gonna be bored there anyway. But then again, racing for 90 minutes, I cannot stress that enough, it's so exhausting. So the drivers should really be happy that they have those couple seconds on the Duttingenhöhe to take a breath.
Yeah.
So it's all good, it's all good. But yeah, it's cool to see. I think he'll be just right under 10 minutes, like 9:40.
Certainly. So into the final complex of corners, he'll go obviously down towards Tiergarten, into the brakes, pulls it over to the left-hand side, over the escape road, and now out towards the line. Let's see what we're going to get. Let's see what the qualifying order is going to be, and if anyone has bailed from their first lap to begin a second lap. Thiebe will be the first one then to cross the line here at the Nürburgring, going sub 10 minutes quite comfortably. It's a 9-minute 51.0, and that is the fastest time. Daniel moves into second position. Nicholas Nolder into what is now fourth position, courtesy of Patrick Thompson, who did have a pole position back, of course, at the Hockenheimring. Now you can see Vince Peters where he is on the track. He has definitely made a mistake on his first lap, has bailed from it, and has begun a second lap because he's only coming up towards the Stefan Bellof S now.
It's quite interesting to see that we have so many drivers within 1 second as well. That's really tight.
Very. In a lap this long.
Yeah, for a single lap qualifying also.
Yeah, normally, well, at least when I was good at esports racing and running, I would be happy if I was like within 3/4 of a second of like the top. Even around a circuit like this, I'd be happy if I was within sort of 3 or 4 seconds of the top, because it's such a long lap that you just take it.
Like we talked about before, you can lose those 2-3 seconds only on the GP track easily.
Yeah.
And then it's gone. Try to make that up on a long track like Nordschleife.
Yeah, you're never going to. Well, yeah, like I say, seeing the lap times coming in there, Vince Peters now out onto the Duttingenhöhe. You can see the likes on the left-hand side, Alexander Thiebe still on that pole position, Patrick Thompson in second position, Alessio Bender, Daniel Muth. John Ellen now moves up into fifth position rather, in that number 4 car. Again, another one of those drivers within 2 seconds. Vince Peters, I don't know, is he looking disappointed, sad, angry, happy? I am seeing
you never know
no emotion on that face.
Oh, but that happens quite frequently. They will only show their feelings once it's over. So after the race, you'll know either they go up in flames and are angry about something, or they're celebrating like proper champions. So I think we'll have to wait and see who's coming out a winner and who's coming out a loser tonight.
Darwin Romero up into the top 10. Now Louis Balicki moves his way into 7th position, knocking Romero outside of the top 10. I think Vince Peters, though, bearing in mind the pace and consistency we've seen from him throughout the main season, we'll see him move up into the top 10. He does not look particularly pleased. A bit slow out of the exit maybe. There is Thieber's time gone, so he's definitely not getting pole position in all of this. Across the line he will go. Vince Peters moves to 7th position, 2 seconds off, which for a driver who we know is very fast, very consistent in this championship, I think that is a little bit disappointing for him.
Yeah, that's what it looked like for sure. But then again, we said how important it is in the qualifying to still make up a good position. But then again, it's 90 minutes of racing, so I think he'll have a lot of time to catch up on those 7 positions that he maybe just lost. And like we said, I'm not too worried about making up positions on this track.
No, absolutely not. As Alessio Bender is also just sitting, chilling, breathing, waiting for the session to come to a close. Yanxi Lin was actually pretty good in the final round of the online championship of the NGK Esports Cup, of course. Let's see what he does across the line. Moves up to 11th position, does Lin. So not too bad, but no one is threatening that time that Thieber's put up. He knows, the thing is with Thieber, he knows he's coming into this as the favourite, right? That's got to add like quite a bit of pressure onto your shoulders.
For sure. I mean, he managed dynamic qualifying, but then again, will he really, when there's 40 drivers up his back trying to go for the win because, like we talked, that's all we're here for tonight. We're just here for the NGK NTK Esports Cup champion.
Exactly. We care about who's winning the prizes, obviously who's winning the Bavarian Simtech wheel, who's winning the NGK branded tailored rig, who's also winning that AlphaTech racing LED screen as well. And to that, who's going to be inside the top 10. But let's be honest, drivers like Vince Peters, they are not aiming to be inside the top 10. Did I see Dave Christie on there? That surely cannot be the David Christie of the world of sim racing. If that is, good day to you, sir. Another commentator. A commentator among us taken to the circuit is Tiger de Kock goes for a little bit of a spin through Arenberg and drops it into the barrier. 4 seconds left to go in the session. That is us done. So the favourite does have the pole position, but it's all going to be about that run down towards turn 1, isn't it?
That was a pity though that he lost the car. Maybe he did it on purpose because he wasn't going to manage it.
Yeah, you're never going to finish that.
Probably. Well, I have to mention I'm quite happy to see both girls in the top 20. Yeah. So that's nice. Looking forward to them racing as well tonight. Absolutely. Yeah, how long do we have? Oh, they have a 10-minute warm-up now. That's rare. Usually it's qualifying, let's go straight up racing. Which,
to be fair, that works for some drivers and doesn't for others. I was always a driver that I hated a long warm-up. I liked to finish qualifying, and let's go. Maybe have 2 or 3 minutes, go to the loo, whatever, and then I just want to jump in the car, I want to start the race. I don't like the long break.
I agree. However, the 90 minutes racing, like I said, I think, you really need a break. And also it's nice because now we can have a little chat.
Exactly, and hopefully, if any of the drivers aren't total wimps, I'll be able to catch up to a couple of them after qualifying. That said, I can imagine someone like Vince Peters probably won't want to be interviewed.
Yeah, probably. He didn't seem too happy and he wants to stay in his tunnel vision and, prepare for the race. I get that as well. We do, though, have Alexander Thieber, hopefully, who has a copy. Alex, can you hear me? Perfect. Now, obviously, pole position. You're coming into this one as the favourite. How was the lap? It looked pretty good.
Yeah, I wasn't completely happy. I mean, it's a super long track, so it adds up quite a bit. I still lost a couple of tenths, or a bit more actually. But overall, it was a solid lap, so I'm quite happy with it. But yeah, a 50 would have been in there. But yeah, I'm happy where I am. But yeah, that's just half the rent. I need to see what the race brings now.
Now, obviously, Vince Peters has qualified a little bit further down the order. Obviously, your main rival throughout the online championship. Are you expecting him to move through the field and maybe challenge you in this race, or are you mostly focused on Patrick Thompson?
Both. In the first laps, of course it's going to be Patrick who is my biggest opponent, but I'm pretty sure Vince is a great driver, a great racer, so I'm pretty sure he will make he will find his way through the field, and yeah, it's a long race. I expect them to be up there.
So especially because it's a long race, Alex, how much risk are you going to take to go for the win tonight?
Yeah, it's always you always need to find the right balance between aggression and being conservative. But yeah, in the first laps, of course, I don't want to damage my car in any way. So I will be a bit more a bit less aggressive. But of course, I don't want to give up my position. So, but yeah, it's a balance act.
Well, obviously 7 weeks, seven victories in the main season building up to this. We'll see if you can go and grab an 8th one. Good luck in the race. We'll maybe be talking to you afterwards.
Yeah, thank you.
There we go. That's Alexander Thieber. Now we're joined by Patrick Thompson, of course, joining him on the front row of the grid. Did have a pole position earlier on in the season, though. How are you feeling about your chances today?
Optimistic, I would like to say. It's gonna be a long race, so just try and avoid making some silly mistakes, and then let it all come down to that final run to the line.
What's your game plan for the first lap? Are you going to attack Alex? Well, I mean, he is listening probably, so you don't want to give everything away. But are you going to go on the attack straight away, or are you going to kind of let things calm down and then maybe go on the attack later on in the race? Maybe something strategic or anything?
It is a very long race, so without speaking over myself, I think I can say fairly that there is plenty of opportunity to work with. So yeah, we relax for the start and then kind of see where everything goes from there.
Tell us honestly, did you save up your pace for this final race? Like, did you just try to get into this, just try to qualify, and now you're going to show us your real potential after the season?
Well, I mean, I honestly haven't had a lot of time to practice coming into this round, so I don't know if I would have been able to find a lot more pace, but I know I left at least for qualifying, I left some on the table, so there's maybe a little bit to find.
Okay. We wish you the best.
Not bad.
And look forward to
Thank
the
you.
race.
Cheers, Patrick.
Yeah, me too. I hope it's going to be an awesome one, and I hope to watch back a brilliant broadcast. You've done a great job all season.
Aww.
Thank
He's
you.
even giving us
Very
some
nice.
kudos.
That's
Cheers,
very
Patrick.
Thank you.
Next one will be Alessio Bender to join us here in the comedy booth. Now, talk us about your qualifying session. How are you feeling about the race? What's the expectation for the day? Do you think you can win it?
Me? I don't think so, but yeah, I'm confident. Try my best to be at least top 5 and get something home today. But expected me to be further back, but I'm quite happy there. Yeah, let's see. Maybe, yeah.
Look, you never know what's going to happen between those top two, going down into the first corner, into that drama. Are you kind of ready for drama in this race, or are you kind of expecting this one to be maybe a little bit calmer than what we've seen throughout the season?
I will, like my expectations are that there's going to be 9 laps of draft and maybe 1 lap of fighting at the end. Everybody will be quite calm, I think. At least I hope so.
So far it hasn't proven to be right in the NGK NTK Esports Cup to be calm at the start, but let's hope for you. So that's your strategy, I guess. You're just going to do your pace for 9 laps and then push for the best position you can achieve at the end of the race, right? Okay.
Yep.
There we go.
Well,
He's very calm.
you're very calm. We love that.
Cheers, Alessio.
Yep. Thanks.
Well, I think you're questioning the strategy of the drivers. I think nobody who actually had a strategy would tell us right now.
absolutely
I think the
not.
after-race interviews will be the ones where we'll hear the tea about the race.
I like to hear the drivers when you ask,
Make
do you
them
think
uncomfortable.
do you think you can win? And they go, maybe I can. There was one driver, and I still remember it. It was an interview. It was on one of the Formula E race at home challenges, like obviously 2020, 2021, and it was Kevin Siggy. It was the Monaco E-Prix for them, and he was asked before the race, like, so you've qualified on pole position. Do you think you can win it? And he went, oh yeah, I'll win.
Oh, did he know?
And I was just sort of
Did he know?
the brutal slant. He absolutely dominated the race.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely. But he said it in the interview. He was like, yeah, I'm going to win. I'm going to lead down. I'm going to lead into T1. And I'm going to run away with the race. And that is
That's
exactly what he did. And
Well,
there is something I respect about that.
For sure. If you actually pull through, then it's amazing.
yeah.
But it's terrible if you make such a big announcement and then you fuck up. But yeah, obviously, Alessio, he said he's very confident, and then he goes, oh, I don't think I'm going to win. Well, that's not the confidence I see.
No.
I feel like every racing driver needs to have that cocky confidence of like, I'm the winner, I'm the champion, I'm here to win. That's what I talked about Alex. Like, he takes the risk, but then again, he does win. Obviously, it's not always the smartest move, but he's still the champion of the season so far. But we'll see how he gets on tonight.
I was going to say, also, the difference in racing, racetrack to racetrack. I'm sure if you'd have asked at, say, Imola, if we were doing the season finale there, you'd maybe be like, yeah, I'm pretty confident of the victory.
Yeah.
Somewhere like the Nordschleife, because of, as Alessio was saying, the slipstream train, we are expecting,
And the complexity of the track also.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You kind of do expect it to be a bit more, maybe a little bit more tame.
For sure.
But we'll see. Hopefully we'll be getting to the race start and that race down towards turn 1, and we'll see how dramatic it will be. But let's take a look at the starting grid. Alexander Thieber with the pole position, Patrick Thompson alongside, caught up with the two of those, along with Alessio Bender in 3rd position. Daniel Muth in 4th position with John Ellen and Nicholas Nolder, a known winner in the championship as well, so we'll see what he could do. Vince Peters, 2nd in the championship in the online season, will start from 7th position with Louis Balicki in 8th position. Norbert Leitner and Harry Fox round out the top 10 at present. Yang Shi Lin finished the season in high performance in 11th position with Norbert Leitner alongside. Then Romero, Balicki, Sarah Dove in in 15th position with Nazadati, Sophie Aronwen in 17th position, and then Sam Chapman down in 18th position, about 15 seconds off. David Christie in 19th spot. Luca Monroe inside the top 20 in the season final. Didn't even know he was going to be. He didn't know he was going to be here when we did that at the end of the season race. Then Noah Hendricks, Mike Plug, Guile Valero down in 23rd position with Tamas Seymour for the Veloce Vex team as well. That is huge drama as well. Absolutely crazy. Mike Barber, then Stuchko in 26th position. Then Sepanen, and then Dario Dills with Tango de Kock, the last driver that we saw having a bit of a crash into Arenberg in 29th position, right at the rear of the field. How much drama do you think we're going to see down into turn 1?
Oh, like I said, I always say, oh, they have to be calm, they have to be strategic, and then still something happens. Yeah. So I do think it makes sense for the drivers from behind to just go for it right now. To just make their position and hope that they can kind of block the others and make them slow down. Because it is quite mental on the Nordschleife. Yeah. If you have someone slower in front, you will not push as hard. It's just a fact. So positioning yourself not only for the starting grid, but also for your long-term, I would just say, like fighting position on track is quite crucial in my opinion. So if I were starting from the back, I would actually quite send it on the GP track on the first lap. Really? To be honest, before going into Nordschleife, because then after it's not going to be that easy to overtake. The GP track is where people feel confident to overtake. Yeah, I think Guile Valero is definitely going to need to do that right away because he's one of the drivers that we would have expected to be up towards front competing for a victory. You know how good Guile Valero is. I do have a hot take for this track though. Which is of the however many corners there are, no one really knows because it depends on who you ask and blah blah blah, 170 whatever. Yeah. It does hold some of the best corners in the world of motorsport. It does also hold two of the worst, which is turn 1 and turn 2. Oh, you mean over the GP track?
On this circuit, on this layer, where you go through the right-hander and then you skip over the Mercedes Arena section, you just go straight left. I honestly, I can't stand it.
Really?
Every time I drive it, I'm just sort of like, I would much rather do the Mercedes Arena section. I've got no problem with.
I absolutely get it, but honestly, I would rather say it's T3 and 4, the chicane. I don't like the chicane. I mean, generally, it's just hilarious because Nürburgring is actually such an amazing track, but however, like you said, it's a proper love-hate relationship. Yeah. What I really do hate, however, is that they always cut off the hairpin. They always use the shortcut. But we don't use the shortcut in this. I know you did in your hot lap. Are you really? I'm pretty sure we run down to the hairpin. We run the full lap. That would be amazing. I'm pretty sure we run the full lap. I haven't seen that in so long. I feel like in years they haven't used the hairpin. Yeah, I mean, I do like running down into the... because hairpin and Michael Schumacher is for me like the most amazing part of Nürburgring. And they always cut it out. In NLS where I'm racing now and on the Nürburgring GP races that I did. Well, they begin their formation lap. It's not really a lap. It's literally starting from the Duttingenhoe up towards the final section, going down into Tiergarten, and then of course out onto the start-finish straight. Again, you know, drivers like Alexander Thieber will be feeling the pressure to take the victory. He knows he is the favourite. He is feeling that. But you know, when you've got the likes of Patrick Thompson alongside, when you've got the likes of Vince Peters a little bit further down the fourth row of the grid, and hey, even. Don't necessarily count out a driver like Guile Valero to get their elbows out early on, maybe move up inside the top 10 and join the slipstream train which we're expecting. I don't think there's going to be a big gap, although I have just been told, I'm talking all this stuff about Guile Valero, I've been told he just got disqualified. Disqualified for what? I have absolutely no idea. He didn't attend the race briefing. Oh my God. Silly boy. That is really terrible, yeah. I think 0 out of 10. Imagine, no, but honestly, that is crazy. Yeah. Imagine you work your way up the whole season to come to this race and be disqualified for not attending the race briefing. But that's being a racing driver, guys. In real life, it's all the same. Bureaucracy and safety and all those things are a very big part of motorsport, actually. So. Gotta respect the rules. I can tell you, in GB3, the main championship that I commentate in the UK, if any driver missed the race briefing, 100% they would be thrown out of the game. For sure. No doubt. It's the same in all the German races and international races I did as well. Absolutely. Well, here we go then into the final complex. Do you think Thieber's going to win? Do you think Peters might sneak it? Do you think Thompson from the front row might do it? Honestly, maybe I'm just hoping for it, but I do think everything's open tonight. I do think that nothing's written, and usually it proves right, because rarely it just runs smoothly. You know, have you ever seen a race where everything runs smoothly? I haven't. Absolutely. So, Let's wait and see. Maybe he will, maybe he won't.
Certainly not in the online championship that we've had. NGK NTK Esports Cup then ready to come to a close. The 10-lap finale here at the Nordschleife. It's Alexander Thieber starting from pole position as we race our way down towards that first corner. Green flag is out. It's a terrible start from Thompson, though, who's having to cover off going down to the first corner. Great start, though, from Alexander Thieber, who will lead down into that first section. But watch out with how tight it gets as they run their way through the second turn. 3 wide on that second row. Thompson's dropping right the way back down the order. Big bits of contact going through the midfield, but nothing too major. I think we've got a big lead, and there's the crash, and that is Thompson being sent straight out to the barrier. Crazy, just crazy on that race start. So dramatic, so tricky to navigate. What do you make of that one?
And we've only seen the front drivers, like the front rows, but I think everything is quite tight right now, and they're pushing. That's what I told you. It's never been calm.
No, absolutely not. Well, Vince Peters has worked his way up into 4th position. Nicholas Nolder inside the top 5. A couple of looks down the order here. Yan Shi Lin has dropped back a little bit as Michael Hafner-Darson and Darwin Romero battling their way through the Dunlop hairpin side by side off the corner between the pair of those. One more off the road, though, is the 7:14. That is Sophie Aaron went from 17th position on the grid right now down to the back.
That's a shame. However, like I said, I think we'll see as soon as they move into Nordschleife, they will have made up their position because you cannot go two cars into Nordschleife. So
look at the gap, though, for the race lead, though. Just 0.8 of a second. Alessio Bender, though, he's got to make sure that he nails the next complex to make sure it's under a second, surely. Because
for sure.
The slipstream is not going to have so much of an effect. What do you do if you're Daniel Muth in 3rd position? Do you go on the attack? Do you feel that maybe Alessio Bender is going to hold this train up? Because you can kind of see it in the distance, how large the gap is between 1st and 2nd. You look back towards the rear end of the top 10. Hafner-Darson and Romero, who were battling through the hairpin. They also have Yan Shi Lin behind all of this in that sort of dark blue car, so got that to deal with. As there's another spin in the mid-pack. Goodness me.
I think that was
Mike
Suzuka.
Barber.
Oh, Mike Barber. Okay. Well, here you see, I was about to say, I think Daniel Muth doesn't really have the pace to really make a move on Alessio, so he's rather fighting off Peters behind him. Therefore, I think the top 3 we have settled so far.
I'm surprised Vince Peters was able to make his way through there going on the first bar here of the Nordschleife, wrestling over them. Now I think everything will settle down a little bit, especially once they roll their way over the top at Flugplatz. We should see the groups slightly come back together again. Then again, the gap between Alexander Thieber and Alessio Bender grows to over a second. It is 1.1. You know, surely if you're in Thieber's point of view, you are pushing 110% right now to try and build that gap.
To pull away, for
surely.
sure. Yeah, definitely. Because even if you lose a bit of tires, which is even not that relevant, I think on the Nordschleife, we do have a fuel stop. Do they change tires as well on the stop?
I don't know if they do fuel and tyres at the same time. I think they don't. So
Okay.
I would probably think it's just fuels up.
Yeah, I think they'll manage fine. So right now it's really just about pushing. However, Alessio can make use of the slipstream as it seems because he's pulled up 0.4 of a second.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't remember how large the slipstream is in these cars, but you've got to imagine it's
It
probably
seems
around
to be a
1.5.
lot, and I can imagine, yeah, because the cars are not that powerful.
Yeah.
So having a slipstream over a long straight is quite essential, I think, comparatively to the smaller tracks we've raced this season.
On board with Vince Peters looking at Daniel Muth, Alessio Bender and Alexander Thieber ahead. This is exactly what Alessio Bender expected from the race. I'm sure he maybe had a bit of a heart-in-mouth moment seeing that gap get to 1.1, 1.2 seconds. But it's really important when you see that gap there to not actually push too hard, right? Because if you do push too hard, well, that's when the circuit will bite. That's when you're outdriving your own ability,
Absolutely.
where you're actually going to cause more problems. More harm than good.
Absolutely. I've realized that myself. Sometimes you tend to over-push, like you push into the corner, and then you lose it all in the straight. Obviously, you have the advantage of having slipstream, but you have to really maximize it and make a move. You have to have a great exit and then use a slipstream, and that's the only chance you can get to really put yourself next to the car in front of you.
Tamas Simons worked his way past Luca Monroe at the back end of the top 16, so Simons working his way up the order. Obviously, was starting a bit further down, around kind of the same point that Gar Valero should have been starting. Just 2 retirements from this race, Mike Klug being one of them, and of course, unfortunately, Patrick Thompson from that race start. I mean, he didn't sound 110% confident in the interview.
He didn't, no.
I'd need to see a replay time and time again of what actually happened coming out through turn 2 to actually really understand.
Let's save that up for when they have actually settled down, I think, but we should see for sure, yeah. But right now I have the feeling, like I said, there's quite the nice phenomenon on Nordschleife that if you have a driver in front of you who's similar from your pace and you have the advantage of slipstream, however, you tend to kind of get into the groove, I guess, of driving in that train, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you kind of like lose track of overtaking, I would say. So I feel like they might not even pull out that much from each other. So it's possible that they'll stay in quite the tight train for the entire race.
I think the big deciding factor will be when they stop. Right, as far as we're aware, they should be able to do this on one stop relatively comfortably. And I don't know if they can do 6 laps. Because if you can do 6 laps, that means you can pit on either the end of lap 4, 5 or 6, right? So you've got a bit more option. I think they can do.
Well, I'm sure the guys tested it beforehand. We
Yeah.
kind of messed that one up not asking before.
Oh, 100%.
But I'm curious to see as well if all of them are going to stop at once, like just come in one choo-choo train into the pits, or actually scramble over laps 4 to 6.
Exactly. This is the thing, is that if you can pit on lap 4 and do the 6 laps, then I would rather pit.
Yeah, I would also do an undercut.
It's the most important thing. It's like I just
But
don't.
imagine
I don't
someone
want to
tries
pit
an
everyone else.
undercut and then rolls out a couple corners before you finish.
Oh yeah.
That could happen.
Oh.
I've seen that happen.
Same. Daniel Muth here, one of the drivers with VR. We usually have 2 or 3 drivers with VR. I think there's been an issue for John Ellen.
Ooh.
Oh my goodness, an enormous crash here. Yaoshi Lin as well involved. He's the one who's stationary there on the right-hand side. Is getting it into reverse finally is John Ellen. It's freebies for everyone. Bit more contact as well, as Yaoshi Lin did not quite judge where the front end of the car was. John Ellen was running up inside the top 5. So that is a big, big shame for the Dura Esports driver.
So that was John Allen in the grey car.
Yeah.
We really need to see what happened there. They were quite in the front, were they not?
I was going to say, I think Ellen was definitely was inside the top
20.
10. I think they was running in 5th.
Oh, that is a pity. That is a shame. And we thought it's all going to stay on the GP track. They're already coming to an end of the Nordschleife, or at least halfway through it, and we see another crash.
I'm always expecting crashes around here.
Me
and I'm
too.
Also
That's what I told you. That's what I think we'll have a much more eventful race than we imagine, because I think there will mistakes be coming to the end of the race, because like I told you, 90 minutes of Nordschleife can be quite stressful for the mind. So I think we'll see some little struggles like we already did, but even more to the end of it. And at the beginning, I think they'll be more aggressive than we can expect.
Right. Let's see what happens. So John Ellen has dived down the inside of Nicholas Nolder and then gone for a spin. Ooh,
Yeah.
goodness me. And that's good. And that's where he obviously got tapped coming through by Yaoshi Lin. So,
Yeah, I think he really just missed the braking, missed the proper braking, and then flew into it and then got spun around.
oh, switches here. What has happened? Lily Belicki potentially with a slowdown around the ice curver part of the track. I'm trying to wonder where there is one up there. If you do actually, if you go on a straight line going through ice curver, then you will actually get a slowdown. But it's so unlikely that you'd be able to. Yeah. Who knows? Either way, that's probably what's happened. Either way, he's dropped down to 8th position. That's the important bit. We have one car pulling away by 1.6 seconds now from Daniel Muth, Vince Peters. What has happened? That's what's happened to Norbert Leitner. What's happened to Alessio Bender, who's down in 5th spot?
Oh.
What's happened to him?
Oh, we don't know.
I think that's happened whilst we were taking a look at that replay, but Alessio Bender is no longer a part of it, being told to slow down as well. So he obviously saw a slowdown for Belicki. So I'm wondering if there has been the exact same slowdown for Alessio Bender, and now that gap is 1.5 seconds. Surely if you're in this train, bum drafting?
Yeah,
Surely.
definitely. And we see, I think it's quite hard for the drivers to manage how much they can push, because obviously some of the drivers overpushed and spun. We saw 2 or 3 examples of that. And some of the drivers who just get a slow time penalty for track limits or whatever it was, or aggressive driving.
So here we go, switch for second position. I think Vince Peters is using Nicholas Nolder behind to maybe clear. Of course, Nolder was the one who was involved in that incident with John Ellen a little bit earlier on in the lap, side by side going down into Tiergarten. You've done so much work with the bump drafting to build or to close down that gap by 0.7 of a second. Don't waste it by going side by side in that final chicane. 1.1 seconds is the gap for the race leaders as we complete the first lap. Alexander Thieber trying to clear away in the season finale here in the NGK NTK Esports Cup. It's Vince Peters now up into second position from 7th. Daniel Muth in the middle of that train. And then Nicholas Nolder, a gap of 4 seconds back to Alessio Bender, who qualified in 3rd spot, who was running in 2nd, and then had a slow down penalty. This could be a big moment for Thieber, but do remember on the first lap going into the Nordschleife, the gap was around a second between Alexander Thieber and Alessio Bender, and Alessio Bender was still able to close it down to around about 0.6 of a second. We'll take a replay though of the race start, and we'll try and piece our way through all the bits and bobs as to what's happened, including that big drama for Patrick Thompson. So Nicholas Nolder's got to the inside. John Ellen is the one on the outside. 3 wide for all this. I think it's just a racing instinct. What do you think as a racing driver?
I would have to see it again, to be honest. I feel like he didn't really get pushed, right? So he didn't get pushed, but then again, he didn't leave enough gap. So it was kind of a racing incident, like you said, because he could have seen someone coming from the back and leaving enough space.
Well, here's your requested replay. Broadcaster, producer Hugo Luis straight on it.
See? Nothing, no. It's his own fault, actually, because he would have had to check his mirrors to see that there's another car coming. And he tried to pull out and, use the track for the exit, which I get, but at the starting lap, you cannot do that. You have to check your mirrors.
Absolutely. Tamas Simon working his way up now inside the top 10. Tibaliki was the one who's just made a move on. The car behind all that is Nazadati, and then Sarah Dove, not too far away from the potential of a top 10, which would be very good for Sarah Dove. But like I say, I completely agree. If you look at it from the up top there, you could see how much space Patrick Thompson could have used on the left-hand side than the right. I'm sure he'll take a look at a replay and probably go, yeah.
Are you sure? Sometimes they feel like they never do anything.
Sometimes,
no, but for sure. I think, like you said, both drivers could have done something different.
Whoa! Sophie Aaron went a little bit too deep going into the hairpin of the Dunlop hairpin, and that was what sent her out wide. So again, just a little bit overly committed. It is what it is. Big shame.
But even that, I think she could have saved it if the other driver wouldn't have cut it, which he obviously had to at some point because the track would have run out, but
yeah,
she would have made it. Anyway, that was a big send for her.
It was, like I said, I don't think they would have gone straight on. There is the damage on Patrick Thompson's car. That is why they are out of the race. Did hit the barrier quite hard, to be fair. And the front right says no thank you to the rest of the participation in this race, and is a retirement from it with Yan Shi Lin as well. To be fair, Patrick Thompson remains in the pit lane, probably could go back out again. We do have John Allen down there, Norbert Leitner as well. We saw Norbert Leitner having that spin going into the carousel. Let's see what happened to Mike Barber. Too much curb in the final chicane.
I wanted to mention that before. I think the viewer should not underestimate how hard this car is actually to drive. It's used as an entry level car to drive because it's so, I would say, technical. You really have to know how to balance it because it's very, like I said before, agile, and you really feel it go from one side to the other. So you cannot throw it around too much. Also, the rear starts sliding really quickly, and that makes it very hard, obviously, on a track like Nordschleife to push it far. Yeah. So yeah, to be fast on a track like this with a car like this is actually really, really difficult. So I think for the drivers, this is a great challenge to afterwards race with any other car they want to.
Ow, popped it up onto 2 wheels there, did Sophie Aaron Wen, and then went in for a bit more of a bite of the wall, easily done. I mean, to be fair, I use a car very similar to this, obviously the previous generation, elsewhere in the world of sim racing, to learn how to heel toe. Because I was like, this is the kind of car that has the right characteristics to easily, in air quotes, learn how to do the heel toe technique, which is completely irrelevant in the world of sim racing, but sometimes a bit of fun to learn, isn't it?
I can imagine. I wanted to ask before, did you do a lap on the Toyota GR86 with the like with this setup?
No.
You should have.
I should. We got sim rigs in here.
I was about to say, I think we should do that sometime to race against each other and see how we would make it in a field like that, you know? See where we would stand pace-wise.
I've not raced the Nordschleife that much, like in sim racing. I've raced it a few times. I have my podium, I have my trophy for a podium here, which I did in person in 2018. I'm good, thanks. I'm terrified of this thing. It's such a brutally hard one, as we can see Daniel Muth trying to look down the inside of Nicholas Nolde. It's so brutally difficult.
It is brutally difficult, and so are the curbs. So we see them taking them sometimes quite aggressively, but also we've seen 4 or 5 drivers suffering the consequences. I think you have to be quite careful pushing those curbs sometimes. Oh, he's driving with the VR.
Yeah. So we've got. I can't remember. I think probably in this we don't have as many, but when we do the normal rounds, I think there's normally 2 or 3 drivers that race in VR. And I've said before, I don't know whether it's something changing just in people's mindsets. I've seen more drivers with VR in the last 3 or 4 months than I have done in the 10 years that I've been in sim racing.
I think it's because the technology has actually become better, I can imagine. Is that possible?
Oh yeah, no, absolutely.
Because I think it's actually really cool to race with the VR glasses, because it's really more realistic, like that's how it is. You feel more of the race car vibes. However, 90 minutes with those things on my head.
Exactly.
I would have neck pain after that.
It's not even the neck pain. I've said the main thing that I had the problem with.
And they slide, do they not?
Normally they're fairly grippy. They get quite warm. And it gets quite sweaty under there. And the problem is when it comes to like, how do you don't realise how much you touch your face. And obviously I'm sure it's a race car with the helmet on, like you
True.
You can't
oh my God, that is such a great point. Like I would have to scratch my face.
You can't do it. You have to like slip a finger under the
oh, that's annoying.
I've only ever done one race in VR, and that was the first and only complaint that I had, and then I was like,
but then again, Lewis, if you wear a race helmet, you cannot do that
Exactly.
So,
same kind of thing.
Maybe not so bad. Imagine at some point, just like spilling a business idea, imagine you have a helmet with an integrated screen. Like with integrated VR. So instead of a visor, it has to be a little bit further, yes, little bit. But then again, you could wear a helmet with a screen in it. I have thought about it. It would be very cool. Oh, did you just say my idea was lame?
No, I said it would be very cool.
Breakthrough idea.
I think it would be very cool.
We should sell that to Fanatec.
Absolutely. See, I've been told by Hugo Luis, it's genius.
It's genius.
So we're fine.
Thanks,
we're
Hugo.
fine. And he knows a lot about the world of sim racing. The top 4 in this race, they're separated by under a second and a half. So much like we saw in the first lap, Alexander Thieber builds out quite a gap around, well, to be fair, the final part of this lap, courtesy of Alessio Bender's slowdown, fair enough. But was able to build the gap out to a second and a half, and still this train has come back together. And so we definitely have 4 for the race lead: Thieber, Vince Peters, Nicholas Nolde, and Daniel Muth. There is a look at Nicholas Nolde.
Nicholas Nolde really made his room dark to be in this tunnel vision situation. I think he's taking it quite serious right now.
I cannot do that. I've always said before, when it comes to there's the whole thing of like doing a night stint in sim racing, and everyone says whether they want the lights on or off.
Well, we see Nolde looking forward, focusing on his driving, and Daniel Muth just trying to find a way to somewhere squeeze in. But then again, we talked about this before, would he really have such a major advantage from that, risking it now, making a move, when the field in front is so tight?
No, I think this is the thing. I think we will see switches for the race lead. Like obviously we're going to come through Galgenkopf now and out onto the Duttinger Hoa. I think we will see switches for the race lead. I think Vince Peters might give it a good go, but I wouldn't say it necessarily matters. It's
exactly,
because
then the next lap will happen the same way around.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, I can imagine. I think it wasn't wrong. Who said it? Did Alessio say it?
Alessio did, yeah.
To really wait for the last lap. I mean, that's a great strategy for any race. Usually, if you're P2, P3, just keep it calm if there's no one pushing you from behind. Instead of starting a battle, which will just lead the pack behind, to catch up.
Exactly.
Rather just stay where you are and wait for the finish line.
See what Vince Peters does now. He's actually going to go to a bump draft. Fair enough. And it's all a big choo-choo train as Thieber gets a bump draft from Peters.
They're all pushing each other away from the rest of the field.
The thing is, like I say,
it looks amazing.
At this point, right? if they keep doing what they're doing for the next 9 laps, 8 laps, right? The worst you are going to finish is 4th place.
Yeah.
Pretty much the absolute worst. Unless you crash, the worst you're going to finish is 4th place.
Then again, imagine you lose the AlphaTech Racing lights to a goodie bag for 1 position.
Don't get me wrong, a prize is a prize, but yeah, you're goddamn right.
A prize is a prize. I would take the prize if I could, so I would full on send it if I was on P4.
Yeah, exactly.
And then again, P4 sending it in such a tight pack would mean all 3 in front scrambling their positions.
Yeah, but again, I mean, like, let's be honest. I'm sure you'll take the AlphaTech Racing LED screen, fair enough. But again, you've got an NGK branded Taylor rig. You've got the Bavarian Simtech wheels. Well, there's a lot of options for you for prizes in there. So I'm pretty sure you're always going to be wanting to send it. Always going to be wanting to go for the gap, but. Right now, things will be fairly calm. Thieber from Peters, from Nolder, from Muth, about 5 seconds back to Alessio Bender, then Harry Fox, Louis Balicki and Darwin Romero, all 4 of those involved in one tight train. They work their way down into the Dunlop hairpin once more, and things do indeed calm down. So you say when you race, do you not do the hairpin really at all?
No, never.
Have you never been down there?
I have.
Right.
Obviously, that's why I know that I love it so much.
Yeah,
but
right.
I did it, I think, for the last time, honestly, in 2019.
Goodness me.
Or 2018 on a random testing day on the Nürburgring.
Ooh. I thought it was going to be a bit side by side with the Schumacher and
that was
Harry
a quite
Fox.
clean overtake.
Louis Balicki dropping back now to 7th position. But anyway, as you were saying before, you were rudely interrupted by some excellent racing.
That was a really good overtake.
It was lovely.
Very clean. But it makes sense to use the GP track for the overtaking, like I said, because it's where people feel like drivers feel most confident and most home, I guess, because they've driven the GP track for sure 100 times. However, doing 100 laps on the Nordschleife will take much longer. So yeah. However, I was saying since 2019, they have never used the hairpin for any race events. I think the
for
reason,
none, yeah, right.
The reason is for that, from what I've heard, maybe it's just rumors, that they want the grandstands to work better because it's very hard and far away to go for a GP track to the hairpin and watch the race there. And a lot of exciting things happen there, so it's kind of scrambling for the viewers. So it's all just for the spectators, apparently.
Maybe. I mean, I'm excited. I'm happy that at least I went there in 2018 and I have plenty of photographs of people running through the hairpin.
For sure, and there have been amazing other events. They always have these kind of like drifting things and whatever on the Nürburgring. There's all kinds of other festivals and stuff that are on the ring besides racing. And always at the hairpin they do the coolest stuff. I have a video on my phone as well.
Honestly, it's such a good part of the track. And I'm glad we're racing around in here. Here's Alessio Bender, who we caught up with pre-race, qualified in 3rd spot, was surprised by it. Did say, to be fair, that he'd be happy with the top 5. Part of me thinks that he'd be significantly less happy with the top 5, considering he was running in 2nd position and got a slow down penalty. How your goals change in a race, depending on what happens.
That is definitely true. You're 100% right about that. He's in P5. Quite comfortably, I would say. He can push to the front. However, like you said, yeah, he could have been in that great pack in front.
Yeah, it's sometimes how it goes. Tim Balicki, though, we saw Louis Balicki having some good moments. Tim Balicki has not had one as he drops right the way down into 13th position. What has happened to the number 6 car? I might see a bit of a Balicki fall down the field. There was 2 of them inside the top 10. Tim in 10th position, Louis in 7th. And now Tim Balicki, that is a shame. We believe it might be a connection issue.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to ask. It's kind of weird that he has the 0 seconds next to his name.
So normally that's like retirement, like they've escaped back to pit lane.
Yeah, it looks like he's out.
Yeah.
But it doesn't say out, so it must be something technical.
Yeah.
Well, we've said this often before. It's not just real racing where you can have technical difficulties. It can be sim racing as well, sadly. However, it's much more rare than in real life, obviously, because so many things can go wrong in a real race car, and it's just the internet connection usually that will destroy your sim race.
It's internet, PC failure of some description, or a wheel failure, wheel pedals,
That's
hardware
rare,
failure. It depends what hardware you're using. Some people I know, there's some people that have had many hardware failures, and it is to do with the wheels and stuff they use, which is fair enough, each their own.
True.
I'm not going to name names, don't worry. No,
Well-
no brand panic right now. I'm not naming names. But no,
I know now.
it's tricky. It's tricky.
Well, yeah, the more, the better it is that you can win a new wheel here. So having a spare, because I assume most of the drivers have a wheel right now and not racing on a controller. But yeah, having a spare is always good.
Yeah, I think quite a lot of sim drivers do have spare wheels. Even I remember. I've heard stories of people like when they upgrade their wheel, when they move on to a new wheel, they generally keep their old wheel close hand. They don't sell it because it's always good to have a handle. There was
Definitely
very specific, as we ride on board with Harry Fox. Very specific example of this was Simon Pagenaud in the first ever Le Mans Virtual in 2020, who had a full rig failure.
Failure.
I think it was like wheel or something, had disconnected or whatever, and he unplugged the rig, like the whole rig, unplugged it all from the computer, moved it to one side, had a spare rig on standby,
No way.
moved it in place, plugged it in, got back behind the wheel and got into pit lane.
no way.
It is the craziest thing that I have seen on a sim
That is
racing broadcast.
actually crazy. No, but that is wild.
Yeah, it got us talking. Let's just go with that. It's
Well,
very exciting.
we just talked about Alessio Bender making it to top 5 right now. That is
Yes,
not as comfortable as we thought.
Yeah, we're on board with Harry Fox now. Is directly behind him. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, I know.
It's the bump drafting up the hill. The thing is, I think there's 4 people in this train. So you've got Bender, you've got Fox, you've got Balicki, you've got Romero. So it's kind of very similar to that front 5, isn't it? There's no major gaps between them. But then with it being 6 seconds now between them and the top 5, they're not likely to catch up to them.
But then again, we're talking statistics. You pulled out your statistic. Mine that I mentioned before is that on one hand, they kind of do spread out because obviously, they position themselves and then incidents happen and everyone does their own pace. But the thing that they don't go faster than the guy in front, even though they possibly could, and they don't get to pull away because of slipstream, proves right, because there's these clusters of drivers. We have the front pack, we have the middle pack, and then I think to the back there's also some tighter paces between 10 and 12, for example.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess that's how it goes, and we'll see. I think those clusters. I don't think there will be major things besides incidents also coming up during the race, but I don't think there will be any bigger changes besides at the end between the top 4 and the top 5 to 8.
Yeah, no, I agree.
There will be switches in positions, but I think we can for sure say confidently one of our top 4 drivers will be the champion of the NGK NTK Esports Cup.
Absolutely. I think that you're absolutely spot on there. The clusters that we have now, like with the top 4, like say then 5 to 8, those are likely the clusters that we're going to see, unless someone makes a horrific error in pit lane.
I don't count that
whatever.
out, by the way.
You never know.
count that out.
I've been told there is a minor chance of rain, i.e. they've said it's probably not going to. It's not going to. But we can talk about that for a second, because the idea, we were joking about this before and being like,
We
just
said that a couple times.
we just turn the rain on.
Did you try it? Did you try
I have tried the rain. I have tried the rain. Yeah, I did before the iRacing Sebring 12 hour. It's
How was it?
It's very good.
Yeah?
It's very good.
I really want to try that. I'm actually quite intrigued to do that. I haven't so far, but I've heard so many crazy things about it. It's supposed to be quite good, actually.
I've not tried it in this car. I tried it in a BMW M4 GT3.
And also probably you haven't tried it on Nordschleife.
And I haven't tried it on the Nordschleife.
That's a whole other topic.
Exactly,
Rain on the
exactly.
Nordschleife is a whole different world than driving in rain in general.
I've spoken to a lot of drivers as Nazadati and Tamas Simon switch positions outside, just on the cusp of the top 10. Let's go with that one. I believe that might have been an issue for Tamas Simon. Oh my goodness me, what has happened here? Tamas Simon certainly does have some form of problem, probably the slowdown, as Sarah Dove
Looked like a slowdown.
squeezed her way around the outside. That was crazy risky.
That was crazy risky, and I was about to say before, that's funny that it happened. I thought we talked about overlapping before, and it's quite how do you say? Not uncommon, but like we don't think it's going to happen.
Oh, unlikely, yeah.
Unlikely, sorry. However, now with the couple incidents and drivers continuing the race regardless, it could happen. Give us a couple incidents and then possibly.
Bit of a split here and a breakaway inside the top 4. I don't think this is going to really come to much because as much as Vince Peters is pushing Alexander Thieber to make sure that he's finishing second as a worst, the gap is only 1 second. So Nicholas Nolder and Daniel Muth are both receiving slipstream and pushing each other. They need to make sure they don't trip over each other into the final chicane at Tiergarten, which I have seen time and time again, and then the gap should come down comfortably. 4 cars separated by 1 second, 3 laps complete here in the season finale. Alexander Thieber still maintains your race leader. Vince Peters behind Nicholas Nolder and Daniel Muth. There is a look at what happens to Tamas Simon as to why he got the slowdown penalty. Well, that's Nazardati flying his way through, and there is Sarah Dove behind. Those are the 2 positions that Tamas Simon cost. Obviously just getting it slightly wrong, I believe, at the ice curve. It's, again, easily done around that back end. So that is in that 3rd sector, which I was talking about. You want to say the 3rd sector, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
that
that's true. 3rd sector is actually, you're right about that. Yeah, it's very interesting. We're
David Christie, get back in the commentary booth, mate.
get back in the commentary booth.
Oh no,
another one.
Louis Balicki, another one for a bit spin. That is in the battle between 5th and 8th.
That was unpleasant. Did he spin by himself?
Yeah, it could have been. It could have been
like
assisted. Could have been assisted, but more likely. Let's see what happened. Yeah, it's literally the same thing as what we saw with David Christie. Took less of the curb, but still, if you take much of that curb, I guess on the inside of T1.
That's what I told you, because I think there's this little bump, obviously, in T1, and the car transfers the weight so quickly, and it's so loose on the rear that you get into a spin quite fast. Do you disagree?
No. I completely agree. I'm just shaking my head at David Christie going for another spin. I expected better from him.
Oh boy. Well, next time we'll have you as a commentator on the rig.
Yeah, no, it's fine. No, do you know what? To be fair, actually, I once we do RaceSpot Friday night prime time, which once it was Formula 4, so it was at Interlagos. And I absolutely destroy bad rejoins because I'm like, there's no excuse for a bad rejoin, blah, 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 blah. People just driving straight back onto the racing circuit.
And you did that?
100% I did that.
Oh, boy, Lewis.
And honestly, I was, as soon as I did it, I was devastated. I was like, oh my God, no. And I tuned onto the broadcast. It was Ewan O'Leary and Cameron Roger, and they were both absolutely tearing me a new one. And rightfully so, because it was unacceptable.
So. But I must say I have a similar situation going on with me in simulators. Like in real life, I'm quite the cautious driver. I'm not necessarily cautious, but I'm quite respectful. So I will not risk an incident with another driver, like a major one for a position. I would not do that, and especially not regarding, faulty driving. However, on the simulator, I just have no feeling for how much space I have left to the other drivers, I guess.
That's where VR is good for you then, maybe.
Maybe that's what I'm saying. I imagine it to be really good because I crash a lot on the simulator because I don't have a feeling for the car there.
Yeah, no, I can see that. That looked honestly horrendous from Nazardati. Really struggling ahead of Sarah Dove and Tamas Simon, so getting the line all completely wrong. Going through the NGK chicane and out towards the Nordschleife. Obviously, working your way around it, it's never easy, but didn't look particularly comfortable for Nazardati. The top 2 once again building a little bit of a gap, but it will still remain as this 4-car gaggle. And if they can do 6 laps, as someone has just
disappeared.
Yeah, someone has disappeared, and I'm not sure who it was. They were in 9th position because Nazardati's moved up into.
Are they pitted?
No.
What said the both Balickis on pit?
Yeah, I think that both of them. So obviously, Louis Balicki had that spin. I don't actually know who's missing from this group.
If they escape, do they go back to the pits, or does it say out?
It will say pit. It depends on if they've actually forced the car to retire or not.
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe we're going crazy, but Nazardati was definitely in 10th position.
I need to mention how intense it is between the top 4 right now.
It's crazy.
Like I said, we have 6 more laps to go.
Oh my goodness me. Going through Schwedenkreuz, side by side between Sarah Dove and Nazardati. Oh, going down to Arenberg. There might be a bit of a look as well from Nazardati trying to come through, but Sarah Dove, that was brave.
She's on fire for sure, yeah.
That's crazy.
She's going all out today, I see that.
Inside the top 10. Obviously, those the drivers that are inside the top 10 do get a goodie bag. Those 4th through 10th do get the NGK NTK goodie bag, so there is that. Fastest lap of the race, again, do get that VRS subscription as well as those prizes we've read out for the top 3. I don't know who would have the fastest lap because it's most likely one of these 4, but which of these 4 would it be? There we go. It's Vince Peters who has the fastest lap of the race at the moment. Thank you, Hugo Luis, on the controls.
I was about to say, I assumed it had to be either position 2 or 3.
I was going to say.
Yeah, they have to be the quickest one, considering that they pull up the second over the lap due to slipstream. So, would make sense.
I would have actually more thought it would have been third or fourth.
It's funny how Hugo made it purple, but on the left side, I think it's always the driver with the white.
No, the white check is who we're looking at.
Oh, are you sure?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, see.
When it's not, that's because Hugo's pressed on the button. That's fine. That's just hashtag blame Hugo moments. It's fine.
I thought so.
But we're currently focused on Vince Peters, which is the white check on the TV tower.
That makes sense. So you learn something new.
Here we go. See if there's going to be a move up towards the louder kink. Oh no, not really. Vince Peters had a bit of a look, decided not to go for it, trying to find his way past Alexander Thiebe.
Just keeping Thiebe a little bit busy, you know? It's a racing driver's strategy. Just show yourselves in the mirror sometimes. That's also why we use these flashlights and everything.
Yeah.
Just to remind them we're there. We're not chilling behind you. We're still ready to attack, making the other driver nervous and hoping for a mistake.
The easiest overtake is the one you never have to make because they've been it.
Yeah.
And
it happens so often.
There are certain drivers, I've always said, I was having a conversation with Gergo Bowley, who is a 2-time WTCR Esports champion. He's very, very good in the world of sim racing. I was having a conversation with him when we were racing in the same championship once. And I said, I'll never look down your inside into a random corner because I know there's no point. He's too good to be distracted by it. So I was like, it's a waste of energy. But some of the, sometimes when you're on a reverse grid and you're coming through the order, I'll always do it because it's like, I could get them off the road. And it works almost every time. It's fantastic.
That is true.
It's the same in this kind of group. Like, I wouldn't even really bother with Thiebe because I know that he is such a good driver, such a strong driver.
Very collective for sure.
Whereas there are other drivers on the grid, like David Christie, get him out of there. I'd give him a look down the inside, he'll fly straight.
Poor guy, man, he'll watch the stream and he'll be devastated.
Especially if it's a completely different David Christie. I don't think it is, I'm pretty sure it is.
Oh, that would be hilarious.
Poor guy. No, I'm pretty sure it's the same dude.
Well, my father always taught me, so I grew up racing with my father pretty much. My father was a rally driver, which is maybe why I love the Nordschleife so much, because I do think it mixes my experience from, circuit racing and my bloodline, I guess. He always taught me to only look front. So in karting, where people, like drivers, tend to bend their necks backwards to see whether someone's behind, ready to attack. It doesn't matter, because whether he's there or not, you have to push your best pace and get to the finish line.
Absolutely.
At the end of the day, it's who's gonna be quicker to the finish line. So it doesn't matter whether someone overtakes you. If he does, he will. And you continue pushing behind him forward. So, I was never allowed to look back. And I had quite a funny game with my father going on. Every time I looked back and he caught me, I would get a penalty. Like some funny penalty, I don't know, 10 push-ups or whatever. So it's quite a good lesson actually, because it means, like we have with the qualifying here going on, with the single driving, which is again quite stressful and unique in my opinion, because in real life you can always lean on something, having someone in front or being pushed by something. What are you looking at?
I was trying to work out what was in the background of Tamas Simon's house. I was like, what is that?
Is he in a bathroom?
Or something? Yeah, no, I don't know.
It looks like he's in a bathroom.
I don't know what I always say this with Arjuna.
That's funny.
I love looking in the background of sim races.
Oh, that's creepy also.
But
it's just funny because
it's just interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, it's true. That's true. Sometimes you see a beautifully designed sim racing room with trophies and helmets in the back of the racing drivers especially, and then you see someone sitting in a bathroom.
Yeah, no, exactly.
The rig in the bathroom.
Exactly.
Hey, if it's the biggest room, it makes sense.
I mean, this is why I make sure that the back of my sim rig is against the wall.
If you wear VR glasses, then you don't see what's going
exactly.
around. You don't care anyway.
No Tamas Simon obviously being one of the two drivers on the grid, at least we've seen, that use VR. Obviously Daniel Muth, the one in fourth position, is another one to have done so.
I feel like they're getting closer by the lap, no?
It's within a second.
Usually they come around 1 second each and then pull up on Dettinger Höhe, but now it's 2-3 tenths.
Yeah, I mean, it's been last lap it was about 2 tenths between, or they were bump drafted between the top two, and then there was about a second gap between them and third and fourth. And then those two, Daniel Muth and Nicholas Nolder, were together. These four have not switched position courtesy of the more bumpy. They can switch positions. This is the thing with this kind of race.
For sure.
They can basically switch at any point.
Consciously don't. Yeah, you're absolutely right about that.
And the reason for that is surely it's just to make sure they're building the gap as much as possible.
Yeah, but then again, I think right now with 10 seconds, I think the gap is not the crucial thing. It's more about they don't see the necessity. It's not about the gap. It's like, why would you risk it now? Because then you would be the one who has to look in the rear mirror more. You know, that's the whole point. Because you will frustrate the other driver much more by overtaking him now than saving it for the end. Nicholas Nolde seems like...
I don't know if that
is he sleeping or is he being like upset about something?
I actually kind of think, I don't know if he was giggling or something. Or
Did
maybe
you do like a
maybe
second nap? You know, there's this joke in Germany when you're tired and you're driving on the Autobahn that you do like second naps.
Oh, wow.
Like you just close your eyes for a second.
Oh,
Like 2 or like 3.
I would,
and then it's like a game of how far you can go before you're off the Autobahn.
I would recommend to anyone, if you do drive, don't try that.
No, it's fine.
just to clarify.
Definitely don't. It's a terrible dark humor joke, by the way. But I thought in the simulator he might be doing it because it's a 90-minute race, quite exhausting. For the eyes.
I'm trying to wonder, but I don't think I've ever fallen asleep in the middle of a sim race. I have quite, in a sense. So there was one race I was in, it was at Silverstone, and basically it was in Formula 3 style cars. You know, it might have been the one season ahead of that, I can't remember. But I do remember I was sitting in 7th position and it was in one train like this. And because it was so like you're just repeating the same thing over again. Let's see what happened to Dario Dills actually first, going up into Ardenau Force, just goes for a bit of a spin. Oh my goodness me. A little bit of a spin as well from the other one that was involved in that battle, Tango de Cop.
Whoever was behind just barely managed
yeah, exactly. Exactly, so easy to do. But yeah, we were all basically lacking the same thing. And honestly, I'm not joking. My brain left the building. I was not, like, my brain just left the race.
I have never had that.
I'm pretty sure 2 or 3 laps had passed, and I remember going into Brooklands, and I was looking down. I was like looking. I remember being like, "What are you doing, mate? Hello?
For real?
Wake up!" Yeah, no, exactly.
That's crazy.
I just went into some weird autopilot, didn't make a single mistake, didn't go quickly. I know that people would be like, "Oh, is that like the Ayrton Senna out-of-body experience?" No, I'm not that good. But my brain just was no longer a part of the function of racing.
That is crazy.
So
no, but
bizarre.
I think that is my struggle with sim racing, because for me it's quite exhausting for the eyes as well. So I race and I get really tired quickly. So racing 90 minutes, I would be definitely doing those second naps on the simulator on Döttinger Höhe, because for me it would be brutally exhausting compared to real racing. I think 90 minutes of actual Nordschleife is as exhausting as doing it on a simulator, at least for me. So.
I think, again, I had a conversation with a lot of drivers about this. Dennis Lind is one who does a lot of sim racing and real racing, obviously in GTs and stuff. I've had conversations with Alex Brundle about this as well. They all kind of say that endurance racing and sim racing, and I think you can effectively call this in a sense an endurance race. You're going for an hour and 40 minutes basically by yourself. This is basically an endurance racing stint. And they all kind of say the same thing, where it's like endurance racing and sim racing is exhausting in a different way than it is in the car.
I was about to say that.
You get adrenaline to like keep you going. In sim racing, you don't really get that level of adrenaline.
That's one thing.
And you don't have as much. The car's not telling you what it's doing. It's just your hands and your eyes. And
exactly.
That's tough.
Exactly. That's what I was about to say. It's not just that that you have the adrenaline keeping you up and also making the time go past quicker, I guess. It's also the fact that in cars, even though people always say it's not a sport and you have, whatever, it is physically exhausting, like actually. And especially on a Nordschleife even more. And on a simulator, you just don't have that factor. And on a Nordschleife, it's more mental, I think. Yeah, so for me it's also different, but I think the simulator pain is more pain than the driving pain. I think the adrenaline feels quite good actually.
Look, I'm sure enough people watching this, if you have driven, and again I'm not recommending you do this, but I'm sure enough people watching this have like really attacked an on-ramp going onto the Autobahn or a motorway or a freeway or whatever, where you kind of go at it with your car and you think, I'm going to do this as hard as I can, like, especially if it's a twisty one, you can't help it. You can't help it. And when you do that, there is that kind of thing, especially if you're pushing to the limit of whatever your road car is, you kind of hold your breath a little bit and throw it in, and you're kind of like moving with it. Now imagine doing that in a race car, going much faster
And for 90 minutes.
and for a long time, right?
And then having cars back, forth, that.
It's hard.
It's quite intense for sure.
And then also, when you're racing in nighttime, you have everyone driving around with their high beams on.
I love racing.
Do you?
I love it. It is the best thing ever. I've done it way too rarely. I haven't had too many opportunities doing that actually. I would love to do a 24-hour race. I think that is really just insane and so cool. I've watched a lot of them actually, but yeah, can't wait to race my own 24-hour race someday. The sooner the better. However, I think night racing, especially sunset racing, is just
Beautiful.
out of this world. It's like really, life feels surreal. I'm not sure if maybe that's just my generation, maybe the viewers can relate. There's so many videos currently going on, like viral on Instagram about how it feels to put your helmet on.
Right.
And then it's like not just the noise, not that it's loud on track, but really actually it is. But as soon as you put your helmet on, the feeling of how the world like turns off.
Yeah.
It's actually really cool, and it's really true. And you don't really, as a racing driver, you're not that aware of it anymore. But that's, I think, more of the reason why you love it than the speed. Because the feeling of being all by yourself is so crazy.
Well, see, in GB3, we've had team radios this year. And a lot of the drivers have been like, I don't really want them.
Oh, for sure.
Because they like being
most drivers actually.
No communication with anything.
Yeah.
They just want to be them. Yeah. I've always said this kind of, especially, this is why people love like the Nordschleife is that, when it's just you and the car and nothing else. Louis Balicki, by the way, has just retired from the race. I have just spotted that one, dropped right the way down the order, was running behind, I think it was running behind Luca Monroe.
Oh no, but Balicki was out quite a while ago, actually, by the way. That's what I said before, both of the Balickis were
I saw them pitting and dropping down, but someone else has dropped down fairly recently. Might be Sam Chapman, actually, then.
Yeah, probably.
It is Sam Chapman, there we go, we are getting it. So yeah, Louis Balicki, like I say, was out of the race a little bit earlier on, fair enough. Did see some more drama. Obviously, the Nordschleife has bit, and here's Tamas Simon and Sarah Dove going side by side up towards the Bravery corner, up towards the Muck curver. Let's see what's going to happen. Tamas Simon to the outside, Sarah Dove to the inside, and Tamas Simon will clear that one beautifully. Sarah Dove dropping now down into 10th position. Nazadati is the one directly behind. This is obviously a fairly important battle because 9th position you get a prize, 10th position you get a prize, 11th position. You get nothing.
And might I mention that on 10th position you can say I made it to the top 10, of the NGK NTK Esports Cup.
Absolutely.
That is quite, it sounds way cooler than saying, oh, I was 11th.
Oh yeah. No, I've always gone by that methodology as we see.
Honestly, I have zero favorites regarding that position, but I would just love for a woman to be in the top 10 for this championship.
Yeah, for sure.
So I'm just gonna, out of principle, I'm gonna root for Sarah.
You're rooting for Sarah?
Yeah.
100% Sarah
Go
Dove
girl,
fan.
stay in top 10. And she's been doing really good so far, actually. I think she had a couple races this season where she managed to do top 10.
Yeah. No, I think
But that was like a highlight. So doing that on the finale is quite good, making a statement.
Yeah, I've always said that there are positions which mean more in sim racing or in motorsport as well. Is that like personally, I'm not that bothered if I finish 9th or 10th. I care that I finished inside the top 10.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the more important bit. Same with the top 5. I don't really care if I finished 6th or 7th, but 5th is now a big
crucial.
A big position.
And the same with the podium. And then podium, obviously individual places is very important.
Well, podium, I'm like 2nd or 3rd. I still kind of look at it and be like, at least I'm on the podium.
No, for me not.
No, you're like
third. For me, third again. Even though it's great to be on the podium, it's like the first of the losers.
The losers. Oh, really? Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. I'm not honestly. I'm never that bothered if I'm 2nd or 3rd.
And I don't have that first of the losers situation with being 10th. Actually, weirdly enough, because then it's like, okay, you're midfield, whatever. But top 3 is like those are the top 3 drivers. I don't know why it's always obviously I think socially seen it's always the bronze medal.
Well, I kind of think of it as like positions that I remember finishing in. Like I remember my first podium in sim racing. I remember my first top 10 in sim racing. I don't really remember my first time I finished 2nd place. I don't really remember it. But I do remember my first podium. Because it was an epic
Well,
race.
exactly.
But
Yeah, that's true. That is true. That is true. I get you now.
Back to the bump drafting train though inside this, but this is an important lap because I believe they'll all come into the pit lane this time by, or maybe even the next one. Well, I say they don't. If they've got the tank to do so, they don't necessarily have to pit this lap. And I think you would rather pit as late as possible because if you do pit now, you'll come out in the train around Nazadati, Luca Monroe. You'll come out in that kind of gap.
I'm also not quite sure whether on iRacing you can pit on both pit entries.
No, you can only pit
Just the one now.
One pit
just
entry.
the first one.
Yeah.
On the straight.
Yeah, correct. So you'd come out of this final corner, you go
so
right.
we'll see it quite soon now. Who's going to pit and who's not. But if they could make 6 laps, I think they would have pitted. Oh!
No, they're not pitting. So they can. I think they can definitely do 6 laps. No one's pitting.
But then why did nobody do an undercut? Because of the slipstream. But then why did Thiba not do it?
I think it's less because of the slipstream. I think it's more because of traffic. I think if you pit and you come out behind like this group, for example, it's really hard to work your way through
no,
this
but
group.
you wouldn't. How long is a pit? 2 minutes?
I actually don't know in this car. Normally,
Yeah, but it's not going to be. They're not going to be that far.
but even if it's a minute, and you drop back, or a minute, 2 minutes, you drop back into other cars. So you've got to be very careful with it. Here comes the move though. Nazadati works his way around Tamas Simon. So I don't know what's happened there. Sarah Dove's gone from 9th back down to 11. They're all just battling 9th for 11th spot.
No, now I get what you mean. I was just thinking because everyone's going to pit, you know.
If everyone pits at the same time, it's no problem. Yeah.
Yeah.
But right now, I think they're all actually just focused on saving as much fuel. I don't know how long they'll be able to go to. You've got to remember, at the end of this lap, they'll have been going for basically an hour. I don't remember how big the fuel tank is in this car because, to be perfectly honest, it's not one that I've raced a whole.
An hour is quite a long time. Yeah.
It's not one that's endurance race much either. Like on iRacing, you don't see it in endurance race much. It's not common to see it do more than the sprint races.
Yeah, I can imagine. Well, I'm not sure. Maybe there's also slight differences between how many laps you could do in real life and iRacing. You know, maybe they adjusted the capacity to make it a certain amount of laps.
Well, we'll see if Tamas Simon can get past Nazadati here, going down into the Dunlop hairpin, and certainly does do so. Holds it up on the brakes, lovely moved. Cut back down to the inside from Adati, was unable to do so. One person has come into the pit lane, that is Luca Monroe.
I wish I could have made that move. Hairpin overtakes are just so nice.
It's nice. The thing is, the braking zone for it, because the hairpin's so...
You know what the best part is?
It's quite quick. Brings it quite short.
There is no banking. Well, there is a little bit of banking because it's like a little bit bent.
Yeah.
It's not like it goes downhill, but the corner is not downhill.
Oh, look at this, by the way. Sorry. This is what I was about to point out. In the pit lane, there is a lot of people. Luca Monroe, who's just rolling off of pit lane now. David Christie, Mike Barber, Shimon Stuchko, then you've got Sapanen as well. So whilst we're talking about how long they can go on the pit lane, at the end of the 5th lap, quite a lot of the field from 13th back have all come into the pit lane.
It's probably because what you said is right, because they're not worried about where they will end up.
Yeah.
They don't think they'll get stuck in traffic because behind them 2-3 minutes after there is not a big field where they could, get hung up. So yeah, I think you were right. We'll see the front part of the field come in this lap.
I was going to say, it tells me they'll all be in surely at the end of this lap.
Yeah, it can't be more.
But this is when they just do the entire race on one tank of fuel. Really quickly and
that would be wild.
That would be wild. And to be fair, I would say it's impossible, but then I've commentated on enough people where I'm looking at and being like, they're not solid, are they? And then they don't, and I'm like, great. It actually happened in the Coach
And they
Dave
forget,
Academy.
you mean?
No, that's a me thing, which I know there's people in this that will be like, oh, haha, Lewis did that once. Yes, thank you. I did. We were in a 2-lap lead at Sebring, and I ran out of fuel. Because I forgot to, I completely forgot to pit.
But why did nobody tell?
That's what I said. That's always my excuse. But they were like, you were the one.
But then I must say, often people just assume you know what you're doing. Like they have too much confidence in others.
I was in pure autopilot, and honestly, I was like darting through traffic. It was in LMP1.
That happens.
Darting through traffic, just completely forgot to pit.
I can relate to that though. You know what my issue is when I race, and I don't have radio for some reason, which happens sometimes. Then they call you in from the straight. They pull out the lollipop, the pit box for like pulling you in the next lap. I never see it. I know it's a straight and I should be looking somewhere, but I never see it. Even though I specifically look for it, I'll pass it and I'll not come in. I don't do that on purpose. I don't know why. I just don't see it.
I've never understood it. Tamas Simon, by the way, 11th position now, gone down from 9th to 11th spot, and is dropping back even further now, 1.4 seconds, 1.5 seconds off the back of Sarah Dove. So there might well been a bit of drama for Tamas Simon. Obviously drives for Veloce Vex, so is well versed in the world of taking part at a high level competition in the world of sim race, but there might have been a bit of a problem. Let's see what's happened to Tamas Simon. Out wide at Arenberg. Any contact with the barrier? No, he's able to bring it back onto the racetrack without any damage, so at least there is that, but obviously just lost a whole heap of time. That gap's 1.7 seconds to Sarah Dove.
Well, we're halfway through the race and we're actually coming to an amount of laps that I did today, which I know is exhausting, so everything they do from now on is a lot. Let's just say it's a lot, because that is quite challenging to do that many laps on the Nordschleife, I can tell you from experience. Especially on sim racing, like I told you, just to connect the dots, I told you before, it's quite exhausting for me to not crash in a simulator, because I'm not that aware of my surroundings as I am in a real car. So doing 10 laps of Nordschleife without crashing once, I think I can do it. I think I could do it. I could be quick on a simulator, I think.
But
even though we know that real professional simulator, like sim drivers, are much faster than real racers. But I still think I could be quick on the Nordschleife on the sim. But then I could not do a 10-lap race.
It's so tricky. Like I said, I mean, I'd love to do the Nürburgring 24 hours. We're getting more bump drafting here up towards Mutkerber. I'd love to do the Nürburgring 24 hour, which happens obviously every year on iRacing, and it's coming up. It's not that far away before we take to the green hell for 24 hours of racing. I would love to do it. But my brain, I don't think. Also, because you don't have as much traffic as in real life, and I maintain that with endurance racing, the thing that keeps you awake is navigating traffic.
Yeah.
Because you don't have more than in real life around here. You won't have more than.
I wouldn't love a 24-hour sim race on Nordschleife.
Yeah.
But I would love a 24-hour Nordschleife sim race like it is in real life.
Yeah.
So with different classes, that's what people don't like on the real 24-hour race, that there's so many slow cars on there.
Yeah.
But on a sim race, that will make it so interesting.
Yeah, no, I agree.
And then there could be good drivers just choosing to take the slower car. That would be also really cool. Do you know I'm not sure if it's 24 hours, but there's a race in Spa where they race these like go-kart cars. I don't know what they are, but it's like a massive thing. There's like 100 cars on there.
They do that with C1s, I know.
I'm not sure, but it's like it's a one-seater.
Oh, there's definitely not that, but no.
No, it's hilarious. And if they put like that kind of cars, which are quite quick, but like tiny shit boxes, they put those in a 24-hour sim race, that would be amazing.
That would be.
That would be hilarious.
It'd be pretty good fun.
Because it would be entertaining for the viewers. It would keep people up 24 hours. And it would make it exciting for the racing drivers.
I can hammer home, your point of drivers don't like it in real life, because I remember talking again to Dennis Lind, who's a good friend of mine.
Yeah.
And he told me years ago, I will never race the Nürburgring 24 hours.
What?
He said he will never do it because
of that.
Because I think what I said it was because he was a big win, which is the thing that I still maintain.
I agree.
I think there was more reasons to it, but I think that was sort of a part of it.
Well, I must say, even though I only did like 2 or 3 races so far on the Nordschleife, there are some crazy situations where you think, how can a professional racing driver do that?
This,
like, how do they overtake you that close and like shunt it? Like, just because it's a 4-hour race, like just relax, like overtake it like properly. So I get his point.
That's the hypocrisy is that he did it last year.
Yeah, but
Which
it could never be that bad for me not to race on the Nordschleife, to be honest. Because there's way more cool experiences than that one's.
I was going to say, I wonder if he's racing. It's kind of one of those ones you do it once and you're like, nah, I've got to do it again. So
yeah, exactly. That's how it is. That's how it is. Because it's like a girlfriend. Even though you get annoyed by it, you let it be for a while, and then you start missing it again.
Yeah.
You have to go back.
Dennis
so
Lind,
that's
wimp.
how it is.
Absolute wimp. There was a switch on this lap, by the way. Alessio Bender and Harry Fox have switched positions for 5th spot. Here comes a switch over for the race lead because they're going to be coming into the pit lane this time. And so Vince Peters does not want to come in behind Alexander Thieber. So Vince Peters will now actually want to take over the race lead. Does indeed do so before we get down towards Tiergarten. And here comes the train from behind. Nicholas Nolder trying to move up, getting past Alexander Thieber with a bit of a bump draft from Daniel Muth. Now take a picture of this because this is what we're going to get on the last lap of this race. All kind of wiggling around as they work their way under the bridge and down the hill towards Tiergarten. Nicholas Nolder, your race leader, with Daniel Muth behind, Vince Peters and Alexander Thieber. They head back up towards a hill. Oh my goodness me. Vince Peters is having a look down the inside of Daniel Muth. That's so risky as we get onto the brakes down into the final chicane. Vince Peters does not want to be in 3rd spot coming into the pit lane. He really wants to be the race leader. What does Alexander Thieber do? Are they all coming down to the pit lane? Yes, they are. Thieber cannot make any progress. So he has gone from 1st to 4th in all of that as they all get onto the brakes. That was very close.
That was insane. I had to hold my breath. That was very, very intense. Are they an autopilot in the box or not?
No, so they're driving at the moment. There's no contact outside of the fast lane. So they can drive through each other as long as they're not in the fast lane, which is why you see them drive through other cars and all this, so that's fine. Their pit boxes, by the way, as well, if you don't know, their pit boxes are in qualifying order. So Thieber's is the first, then it'll be Patrick Thompson, then Alessio Bender. But this is why Vince Peters is 7 cars away from the front, because he is...
that makes sense.
Yeah.
That is really, really interesting. That was super intense. You saw how they were just waiting on it, and then they went on each other like animals.
Here we go then, leaving the pit lane. Are they all going to leave in one big group? Yes, indeed. Alexander Thieber's a little bit further behind it, but I'm sure there's not going to be too much drama. There, again, contact is back on. Vince Peters has actually jumped Nicholas Nolder in all of that, maybe by taking slightly less fuel, but down into the first turn. Look at the gap back to Alex Thieber. It is... Well, we'll let it settle for a second. It went up to about 2.5 seconds there. I think it's probably about 1.5 seconds back to the number 10 car behind. He's surely got a place to close it.
Oh yeah, but that was really interesting how I think Peters came in 2nd, right? And now he's 1st?
He's 1st,
Like you said, yeah, taking a little bit less fuel was a good strategic move, hoping it works out.
Oh, Alexander Thieber, Urano Esports? I don't think so. Sorry to instantly drop that one on
what happened there?
Urano Esports are no longer a thing. That one, I don't know. To be fair, this is a good shout. Does Alexander Thieber have a seat in the world of sim racing at the moment? Because I actually don't know. You definitely don't, so that's fine. Unless you've got good contact with Alexander Thieber. But he was with Urano. But then Urano shut their doors at the end, literally December 31st, end of last year. They've shut their doors.
Wait, is he racing in the real? Or what are you talking about?
So Urano Esports,
yeah,
the team that Alexander Thieber was a part of.
Oh, you mean like whether he's with a team?
I don't think he's with the sim racing team anymore.
Oh, that could be.
Which, if he's a free agent, I'm sure various teams will be looking at this thinking, ooh.
Yeah, but what happened? Why did he lose 1.5 seconds? Because he came out of the pit quite close.
I think he might have taken more fuel.
Why would he do that?
Exactly. Why would he do that? To be fair, there are ways that you can take fuel. It could be just a miscalculation, taking an extra litre or two.
I was about to say, because if one of the guys just made a strategic move of taking less fuel, then I would say, okay, maybe he's making a mistake and regretting it on the last lap. But it seems like the other 3 knew how much fuel to take.
Yeah, I don't know. To be fair, if you're Alexander Thieber, I wouldn't be too worried about, because as much as that gap is quite large, I still think he was on pole position by a second, right? I think he's got the pace to close back down. I know they're all close. I know they're going to be bump drafting. The panic will set in once they get onto the Duttingham. If the gap is still large.
He was faster for a second, but the guys in front are pushing each other.
That is true.
Using the slipstream and pushing each other. So I do think they are faster as a group right now than they would usually be.
In qualifying, yeah, absolutely. We'll see what it's like though, as we'll look back to Darwin Romero now in a bit further down the order. I was going to say he's in 6th position, he's in 8th position at the moment. Michael Hafler-Darson directly ahead of him, and a big 10-second gap up to Harry Fox. Alessio Bender finds himself in 5th position. All pit stops, I believe, have been ticked off. There's a look to the inside by Romero, trying to find his way past Hafler-Darson. Not really the place to do it. I mean, you can give it a go, I guess.
I think at this point, P8, like we said. P8 maybe not anymore, but P9, P10, P11, what we talked before, I think it's you can win it all and you have nothing to lose.
Yeah.
Because what does it matter whether you come in 11, 12, 13, but if you come in you know, top 10, that's something to go for sure.
Well, I will say in that battle for 9th, 10th and 11th, post pit stop, Tamas Simon has the lead in that group by about a second and a half. And then I don't know what's happened to Sarah Dove, maybe taking a little bit too much fuel, quite similar to what Alexander Thieber's done. And that gap's grown by 3 seconds. Lights flashing on Alexander Thieber, who, great point from Hugo Luis, thus proving that we are, well, especially me, I'm not going to drop you in that one, idiots. Obviously, Alexander Thieber would have needed to take more fuel because he would have burnt more fuel because he was always in the lead of the race.
No, actually, I'm not an
Great
idiot
point.
because I was thinking that before, but I was thinking
But
from
you
a
didn't
different
say it,
perspective.
though.
But I was thinking from a different perspective. I was thinking a Peters who took less fuel to come out quicker,
Right.
who is now on P1,
Yes.
will burn more fuel, so he has less than the others, and he will use more. That's something I wanted to say, but I didn't want to sound like an idiot because I wasn't sure whether that's the case.
But now by not saying it,
yeah. Next time I'll make a fool of myself. Whatever.
you just got to commit.
I knew, you know, I thought I had 2 genius ideas already bubbling out of me this evening, and I thought a third one would just make everyone else insecure, so I just kept it to myself.
That's fine.
Next time I would just spill it all.
Look, it's
Anyway,
okay.
but I'm looking forward whether Vince Peters is going to have an issue to the end of the race.
Potentially, if he's going to be the race leader now, because I don't feel that Nicholas Nolde
Maybe
or
he'll
Daniel
be pushed
Moose-
through the finish line with the other guys.
I mean, I've seen it. I
He'll
have
let
seen
it
it
roll
before.
on Dezember. He'll just let it be pushed.
I don't
over.
know. I just don't know really what's going to happen in this group. Like, do Nicholas Nolde, do Daniel Muth find their way past? Do they try and go for the move? Or again, do they let Vince Peters sit there and burn more fuel? Because you've got to remember that, so Vince Peters, here's a double whammy. Vince Peters' numbers for how much fuel he's been burning are based on being behind someone.
Yeah.
So if he's put enough fuel in to just make it to the line based on those numbers,
he's not gonna
he
make
won't
it.
make it to the line because he's now burning more fuel than he was earlier.
That's what I
in the
said,
race.
yeah.
So, like I say, you're absolutely right. Like, how does Vince Peters go about this?
We'll see. Maybe he'll give back his position. I don't think
Will
he'll
they
do
let
that. Oh yeah, for sure they will. Because right now I think the front group is pushing very hard to get away from Thieber.
The gap's 2.3 seconds from Thieber to the race leader of Vince Peters. So it's about 2 seconds
And
off.
it's steady.
We need it around, for Thieber to be back involved in this fight, we need it around 1.5 seconds once we get into the Dezember. So he's got to find basically
second.
around a second in this
2
final
laps.
bit. He was very quick though. He was very quick in this final part of the lap earlier on in the race. So I can see,
But right now he's losing. He's close
because they're
to
going up the
cruising.
hill, because there's no corners here, it's just going up the hill. So it's all just slippery and bumpy.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we'll see. We'll see. Can you give me a commentator tip?
Go for it.
I don't know how the guys are feeling racing for 1 hour, but my voice is like slowly fading
water.
away. Yeah, really? But I feel like water dries out my throat.
Oh, I don't know. I just
said
commit.
something.
I did get told by a commentator friend of mine, Ewan O'Leary, when we were commentating in Munich last year. He said, "I don't understand how you don't drink that much water because I don't. I really don't.
I don't drink water either, but I feel like
on
that's
broadcast.
not a. That's a Because my voice, I had that last stream as well. After a while, you hear how.
raspy it gets.
Yeah, raspy again.
Yeah.
It hurts also.
I see. The thing is, I'm used to doing endurance racing and stuff where you just sit down and talk for 6 hours and just commit.
I always have this.
The gap, 3.1 seconds, has actually gone very much the wrong way for Thieber. Now he is going to have to go full send at this part of the track and potentially go for, well, if he wants to win, it is now or never for him. Let's see what's going to happen. Nicholas Nolde slightly offline, going down into towards YouTube corner. Obviously, it's not going to matter too much. It's not coming down. It really isn't coming down for Alexander Thieber. He's not able to really close it, and it needs to be now or never, because by the time they go back out onto the Duttingenhoe again, they're going to be able to build that gap once more. I don't want to be that guy, but I think Alexander Thieber might well be out of the win here, and we're talking about those top 3 prizes: the Bavarian Simtech wheel for the winner, the NGK branded Taylor rig, and of course the Altec Racing LED screen, all going between Vince Peters, Nicholas Nolde, and Daniel Muth.
Well, I don't want to be a
Crazy.
hater, but I must say, for the spectators and for the sake of the championship, that will be a big turn. Not even making it on the podium for the championship.
The driver who has won at every single circuit we've been to this season
But
may
not
not
the
win
finale.
in the season finale.
That would be crazy, actually.
And have they got a bit of lap traffic up ahead? They do have. I don't know who that is, but they do indeed have a bit of lap traffic up ahead.
But right up Dutchinger here, I don't think it's going to be.
I was going to say, I believe it might be Sam Chapman, so I believe they'll be able to clear it fairly quickly on the Dutchinger, if not even on the start-finish straight. I don't
Yeah,
think
for sure.
it's straight. Because the thing is, at that point, when you're 9 minutes down on the race lead, you're so far away from everyone else, you're not really bothered about the position.
He's not going to bother and say they're right up
Yeah.
up his rear wing at the beginning of Dutchinger, who I think even Thibaut will have no issue.
Yeah, indeed. So here you go. Also, you can see there's a lot of damage on the front end of Chapman's car as well. So there's that to be added into. I can't imagine
It's
the straight
cool that
line
you
speed.
can see it, you know.
The damage.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Sometimes it's hidden damage, so the drivers are struggling, but you can't really see from the outside.
Instantly though, I've seen the front end damaged on many race cars, mostly the ones I've been driving, and so I know exactly what it looks like. Thibaut's gap's now 3 seconds, so Alexander Thibaut fans, well, rule him out. I think he is no longer a part of this. 3 laps left to go in the season finale here, and we'll see this battle between Vince Peters, Nicholas Nolder and Daniel Muth. Who do you think is in the best position right now? Okay, actually, let me change that question up a little bit. Going on to the final lap, onto the Duttinger Hoa, on that last lap, what position do you want to be in?
Okay, that's an interesting question. Honestly, anywhere but P1.
Right.
I think 2 and 3 have both equally good chances. But usually, even though it's funny, it's always when two, like there's a German saying again, if two fight, the third one is happy. Like I do think usually it's P2 trying to overtake P1, and then meanwhile P3 just sends it outside.
Yeah.
And wins. That is usually what I would say statistically, once again, that will happen. But then again, you never know.
Do you remember though when they came into the pit lane, Vince Peters went from second to first to third, and then still had a look for second place going down into Tiergarten. So, and he backed out there a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, no, he did take over second position actually, never mind. But the thing is, even if you're the race leader coming onto it, my point was that if you're the leader, Vince Peters in this, if you lose the position early enough in the Duttinger, you actually pick up the slipstream and then can go on the attack into that final chicane. So sometimes there is also that to deal with. Well, it's very interesting.
That's what I'm saying. It really depends how far they're going to push it.
Yeah.
Like if they do it at the end of the straight, then it's different as to if they start early, you know. So if it starts early, it's going to be like you said before, like you're going to make the move and then, okay, the next one has still time to make their move, and then it's going to be a back and forth until the finish line.
I think it's one of those ones where avoiding trying to be Ferrari at Monza, i.e. trying to orchestrate it, is the plan. If you try and orchestrate, if I'm in third position, then I can get the slipstream to do this, and I can do that, and I can do this, and I can do that. If you're trying to play
Just
the
go
cards
with
like
the
that,
flow.
most likely it's going to backfire. Like you say, if you just go with the flow, if you just take it as it is and react to what's happening,
You're going to be better off.
I think you will be. At least that's what I would be telling
I
myself.
agree with you actually, because if you make it strategic, you have less flexibility.
Exactly.
And as we know, racing is so like complex. Always, you never know what the other driver is going to do. We have these statistics that we keep pulling out of our hats, out of somewhere, all evening long. But then again, there's always exceptions. So, and in racing, it happens quite often that the unexpected happens.
It's taking a lot of curb. I mean, I'm seeing Daniel Muth not taking quite as much curb as Nicholas Nolder was ahead, rolling through this section, and I think Alexander Thibaut is going to have a bit of a boring drive to the end of the race. Let's speak of other people that might be having boring drives but are still in solid positions. Alessio Bender is inside the top 5, which is exactly where he was aiming for coming into this race. He's 10 seconds clear of Harry Fox, and he's about 10 seconds behind Alexander Thibaut. I know he'll be disappointed after running in second earlier on, getting that slowdown penalty, but I'd say, do you know what? If your target before the race in the interviews was 5th place, you're running in 5th place, you've got to be happy with that.
No, I disagree. Imagine how
totally
different
disagree.
his entire race would have been. You said he's in a boring position. He is.
Yes.
He was on the podium. He could have won one of our amazing prizes.
Absolutely.
And now he's just sitting around. Okay, obviously driving Nordschleife always fun, but now he's just sitting around on P5. Even though he achieved his goal, it's so minor compared to what could have been without this one slowdown.
Yeah.
And he was the one, I think, who said when we were talking strategy, oh, I'm just going to keep it calm the first 5 laps. Oh, he did not keep it calm, and he's going to regret that for sure.
100%.
I don't want to be a hater again. Like I said, he's still doing amazing. I think in a race like this, to be in the top 5 is a great result. But yeah, again, if you know what potential you could have had, it's still going to be frustrating for a driver like him.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like I say, I've had that in races before where I'm going into a round and I'm thinking, oh yeah, just a couple of top 10s, I'll be really happy. And then you get the sniff of the top 5.
But it wasn't.
You get the sniff of like a podium, and you're like, oh, and now I'm devastated with the idea that I finished. I'm like disgusted. I finished 6th. Whereas, like I say, if you 2 hours ago, I'd have been well happy with the idea of getting inside the top 10.
No, it's true.
Is what it is. Other drivers up there, though, that are good to give a shout out.
It's
Obviously,
the human greed, Lewis.
Oh yeah, you can't help it. Tamas Simon's another one has gained a lot early on, and then kind of stopped gaining. Had a bit of a battle, obviously, with Navdati and Sarah Dove, and then received that slowdown penalty. Also had an off going into Ironberg, another one to really focus on that one. Got to give a shout out as well, Luca Munro. I said at the season finale, we had a little talk with him. Our final post-race interview was with Luca, and he said, he was like, I'm really happy to have done the season, blah, 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 blah. And I said, well, obviously you'll be with us in a few weeks' time in the season finale. And he said, am I? I was like, yeah.
And you didn't know?
I'm pretty sure you're in the top 40 in the points, mate.
Where was he in the points,
I think it was like 36th. I think he might have been in somewhere else on top 30.
That's crazy.
He was comfortably in. He had no idea until we told him in the interview, so he was over the moon. And now he's in the race. And he's running 12th, by the way. Not quite in the prize-paying position, but that's
still,
great.
That's an amazing result, considering he didn't even know he was going to make it to the finale.
Yeah.
No, it's cool as long as you're in the front page of the stream and people see you drive.
Exactly, yeah.
We're talking about the top 15 all the time, but there's 40 drivers on track right now fighting, which we don't really see because it's such a big track. That's always the case with the live stream on Nordschleife.
Exactly. No, I do like I say that if I'm a driver, at least, especially if I'm not aiming for any prizes, I'm coming in there, I'm just qualified, I'm having a bit of fun here. If I'm on that first page, if I'm in the top 16, I'm
that is
happy.
important. I think we can talk about frustrating things. It's frustrating to be just out of top 10, so I feel very sorry for Sarah because it would have been an amazing result. But then again, it's even more frustrating if you drop out of the first page of
when you're 17.
That is really painful. That is like ego pain.
Yeah. Your position's now being rotated.
Yeah.
Rather than locked.
Sometimes it's not even rotated. In a lot of live streams, they just cut you out. So that's hurtful.
Exactly. Did see David Christie got past Simon Stutschko for 13th position. So maybe he doesn't need to go back to the commentary booth. He is 30 seconds behind Luca Munro, though. So there is at least that. And we do have this battle still for second position. Nicholas Nolder slightly offline going through the steel stretcher there and just opening the door potentially for Daniel Miz to come through, but the gap's growing half a second for the race lead, a little bit high on the exit of the carousel. You were a bit high on entry on your lap earlier.
Yeah, I was talking.
Just wanted to point that out.
Since again.
Oh my goodness! Look at this from Stutschko. Before we go on to that, Stutschko with an unbelievable move here on Dave Christie. This is fantastic moves. Going up towards Camelhard. Christie's out wide into the grass. Manages to bring it back onto the road though. Mike Barber's going to sneak his way through before we get down into Camelhard. That was an unbelievable place to go for a move from Stutschko.
So much about stressing out your competitor. He did stress him out. He could have easily just closed the gap. Closed the gap, but he did not.
No, absolutely not. Anyway, back to your terrible line.
Was that Dave Christie who went up?
It was Dave Christie.
Oh, you can roast him.
And I will. I'm going to message him.
And I really hope it's your commentator colleague, because if it's not, that will be terrible.
Roland on the ropes.
That will be terrible.
I think it's Roland OTR probably now on Twitter these days. So everyone go and spam him after this race to be like, mate, what was that drive?
What was that? Poor guy, that is so bad. Please don't.
No, don't. He's
rather write something nice in the comments of the stream. Tell us, again, I love this question. I know it's very stereotypical. Who is the driver of the day? I think we'll see at the end of the race because I think there's a lot of trouble coming on the podium for the last lap, but still.
Yeah, see, when it comes to driver, again, we'll discuss it post-race, but I try very hard not to pick the race winner. It's always it's the obvious option.
But I would actually, finally, I would have agreed with you as well, with Peters. If he manages to win the race, if he rolls out on the last lap, he'll look like a fool. But if he manages to win, that would be an insane performance.
Yeah, like you say, to go from 7th to 1st, to have strategized your way through it, to have played the cards, to have been that brave as well, coming into pit lane, into Tiergarten on the final lap. Again, it is a big, big if, because we're going to have 2 laps to go after this, and he is not cut and dry from the 2nd and 3rd. And I will say, the gaps between these 3 would be, I'd actually be a little bit concerned if I was Vince Peters, because the gaps being larger means now Alexander Thieber has only got to close in 2 seconds, 2.5 seconds.
He can take the speed from behind and just pass him without big fight.
Thieber's not out of this. I said he was out of it, ruled him out of it. If this group battles...
That's again the question what we talked before, if they battle at the beginning of the straight.
Yeah.
You know, at the Duttinger Höhe, as soon as they come onto it, then Thieber has a chance. If they save it for the end of it and the finish line, then I don't think he does. Well, we'll see how the gap develops over the next lap. He has still 1 more lap to go.
But the thing is, again...
Wait, but one question.
Yes?
It is 10th lap finish, right?
10th lap is finished, so we've got 2 laps after this one.
Yeah.
So we're about to finish lap 8. Then obviously we do have 9 and 10.
2 full laps. Okay.
Yes, it's not counting the complete.
So we have 1 more. I think we should start debating on Thieber's potential on the next straight.
The next time,
when
the next time we come
gap.
to start finish.
Yeah, because that is the relevant situation. It really depends how much pace he can pull out.
Yeah.
Obviously, we have the fuel topic. He might be quicker, but he has no slipstream and he has more fuel.
Is anyone going to run out of fuel here in the final?
That is really. I'm there. If they do, I'll scream.
Surely not.
If they do, I'll scream. So everybody beware.
I'll make sure. Alessio Bender into the pit lane. What has happened? Has Alessio Bender gone short on fuel? The number 11 car has returned to pit lane after qualifying in 3rd spot.
What if he's going for fastest lap? I don't know how long he can.
Well, I mean, to be fair, I will say
he has nothing from being P5. He wins.
Exactly.
He wins
it's
a
the same
VRS
prize.
subscription for fastest lap.
It is exactly the same prize. From 4th to 10th, you still get the NGK NTK goodie bag. So whether you're in 4th or you're in 10th, you get the same thing.
And you get an additional VRS subscription if you do fastest lap.
If you get the fastest lap.
So maybe that's what he's going for.
Maybe.
Again, just a genius random thought that I had.
The thing is, if he does it, he's got to make sure that...
Because it would be weird to run out of fuel 2 laps before.
So weird, yeah. I think you're absolutely spot on. The thing is, he's got to make sure that on this lap, he doesn't overcook his tyres and doesn't close in too much to Darwin Romero. He needs to keep himself for like 10 seconds or so.
No, I do think that's the situation, because else, if he wouldn't need this gap lap to have a bit more potential for the fastest lap, then he would have came in the last lap for fuel, not now.
You can
That's what he's doing. That's interesting. He gave up his very valuable P5, which we talked about before.
His goal
he says
of
no.
fifth. No, it's fine.
He's a material girl.
Yeah, no, I respect him. Hey, a VRS subscription is pretty good. It's generally where I go to.
Oh my god! I hope nobody's gonna roast me for using all these new gen.
You go for it. I'm disgusted by it, but you go for it. I'm sure. To be fair, most of the people here in the RaceSpot HQ,
I think it's hilarious.
Might be disgusted as well.
It's hilarious.
Then again, I did once get told by a driver in my first year doing GB3. I got told to sneak a load of things onto the broadcast. And I can't remember what it was. Oh, yeah, no, I do now instantly remember it. For the season finale, the last race of the season, they said, can you get Giga Chad onto the broadcast? And I said, no problem.
Giga Chad?
Yeah, I don't know.
What does that even mean?
No idea.
Giga Chad?
Absolutely no idea. It's one of those things that young people say.
I would do it something like with, I'm young people, I don't know what it means.
I don't know, mate. All I know is that I'm not young enough to understand what it means. Okay. And so I just committed, said it, and then got told off for saying it, which is fine, I don't care.
Well, I think it's funny to bring in like funny random words. It's cool,
Like
eases
what?
Up tension.
What? Give me a funny young person word.
Material girl.
Just that's okay. That's fair enough.
Material girl. I don't know what else is there. You put me on the spot. I have nothing in my
No
brain
worries.
when
You can think of that, and then you can drop
And
one
you can
after
analyse
the
the
race.
race, okay.
After you can drop it after the race, all right?
Okay.
Because whilst we're in it right now, we still have this tight battle for the race lead. Again, we're not expecting any major position switches from it. The tension's building, though. Nicholas Nolder will start feeling that pressure behind the wheel, as will Vince Piers, as will Daniel Muth. To be fair, Alexander Thieber at the moment is the driver, as you can see highlighted in purple, is the driver with the fast lap, so we'll be winning the VRS subscription at present, but we'll see if that moves its way down to Alessio Bender. This is the thing though, is that when you have these bigger gaps that appear between these groups, they're not close to each other, so they're not bump driving, they're not doing it, they're not keeping as one tight gaggle, like what we were seeing maybe earlier on the race between Thieber and Vince Piers.
Do you think they're doing that on purpose?
No. If I were them, I would want to keep as close as possible.
Not sure. It is quite hard to keep the line, actually, just from a perspective.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, like personally, since I know I will anyway pull up on the straight, I would not necessarily go bumper to bumper.
See, the reason I'd be, like, say, for example, like Daniel Muth on the rear end of Nicholas Nolder, the reason I would want to be like that, I understand the risk, and I understand, like, if it were a normal scenario, and we were like one big group of 5 or whatever,
Yeah.
no problem, I'd go for the bigger gaps. But the reason why I want to keep it as close as possible is because of the risk of Alexander Thieber closing back in.
To just keep the slipstream as high as possible?
Exactly, to try and make sure that this group is moving as quick as possible right now. It is the highest risk, sure.
Maybe they don't see that risk, either they've written it off, or they're maybe not even aware of it.
It would be easy to kind of just be like, oh, Thieber's not a part of it.
I feel like that's the case, because they don't see him in the rear mirror. 3 seconds is that they don't see him usually in the most cases in the rear mirror.
Well, so the reason why I'm
Out
saying
of
about
sight,
this
out of mind.
on slipstream, for example. Okay, now this is not what's going to happen, but like, let's say, for example, if Vince Piers went slower here through Bergwerk, right? If he was slower there to make sure that the gap was closer, yes, he would lose the initial 0.4 of a second, 0.5 of a second, but the instant bump draft coming in from Nicholas Nolder, they would actually gain more on the entirety of the run up towards the Moot curve than they would do if like they are, like, if they play like this, if you slipstream up and then bump draft, because at the moment Vince Piers is not gaining anything. It's only now that he starts gaining and that gap starts building to Thieber. So it's one of those ones, like, interesting. If you really want to play this as fast as possible, you'd have to lose a little bit of time to gain a lot of time. But again, this is the whole thing of what we were saying earlier on. Do you want to try and strategize your way into a larger gap, or sometimes should you just
Drive.
let it happen and drive?
Yeah. Well, I would say save that for the interviews, but then again, is that really one of the most important questions after you know whether you won or not? But actually it is. It is quite interesting. We could ask them afterwards whether they really did always go and try close the gap. Or did they sometimes just, leave those 0.2 to have a better drive?
I'll tell you what though, Vince Piers, I don't want to be that guy and be brutal, but I will tell you, Vince Piers is driving better than Nicholas Nolder and Daniel Muth at the moment. The way they left the carousel there, they left way too high, lost a bit of speed, but that's when the slipstream, you're saved by it. You can drive, I wouldn't say much worse, but you can drive a fair amount worse than normal, less perfect
because
than normal.
Because you're pulling back,
because you've always got the slipstream.
That is quite interesting as well, yeah, that's true.
And that's why what happens typically in these kind of scenarios, if you're running in second place for ages and then you take over the race lead, almost instantly, like a lot of people make mistakes.
That's
straight
true,
away.
For sure.
Because you lose the reference, your speed's different into the corners, and you got into a slightly complacent scenario where you have been afforded to make a couple of mistakes.
It's really a terrible situation for Peters. How many races I've seen where it's been one race leader the whole entire race, and then last lap they take it all away.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, sometimes it's not even legitimate. Like sometimes it's really not deserved because they had the slipstream, they could have done worse. And if they would have had one lap after, they would have lost the first position again. But if they take it on the last lap and Vince Peters has no chance to counter, that would be really painful to see.
We'll have to wait and see. We've only got a lap and a little bit left to go here in the season finale. Down the hill they'll go through the second Flants Garden, obviously up to your favourite part of the track, through the Stefan Beloff S. Absolutely pinned to the throttle to the ground.
See how the cars are like kind of going straight, but the track is so uneven that you're fighting with the steering wheel so much when you drive, so it's really fun.
They really dance.
This is one of the things where everyone just has to try it themselves. It's better than watching in that case. Sometimes it's really interesting to just watch races, because that kind of racing not everyone can reciprocate, you know?
Absolutely. I mean, Nicholas Nolder, I don't know if his mind's fully in the race. He keeps giggling to himself. Either someone,
so
whoever's on the radio to him must
that
be
is something we will
hilarious.
have to ask. We'll have to ask, was he talking to someone, or is he just...
But, yeah,
who is he talking to? That is the question.
Who are you talking to, and are they funny? We are told it's a spotter, which is fine. Obviously, you will have spotters, race engineers, instantly in for the water. I like that. Get yourself hydrated for the maximum focus. The last thing you want to do is think, oh my goodness me, I'm feeling
and since he's talking so much to his spotter as well, maybe his voice is also going.
You're really on this whole talking
it hurts.
ruins your voice, does it?
It's painful.
Goodness.
Well, but now, what we said before, I think we can write off Thibaut officially. I don't see that happening. With 4 seconds, one more lap to go, that's it.
Same. I don't see it happening. Unless...
That is crazy, Lewis. That is, I think, the first wow moment we have right now before the finish line. Before the last lap finish line.
And the thing is, he's not been removed from it through any crash or drama or this or that. It's taking more fuel in the pit lane. It's by sitting as the race leader,
now,
taking more
last
fuel.
lap, they don't only have a position scramble, but they actually crash.
Exactly, there could be an incident, especially going down. The likelihood of incident going down into Tiergarten is so high. White flags in the air, final lap of the race then. Nicholas Nolder resets the fastest lap of this race as well. And again, the prize for that, a VRS subscription. So these cars are getting faster, the track is getting quicker, the drama is getting higher. Vince Peters leads from Nicholas Nolder and Daniel move the top three. Alexander Thibaut sits 4 seconds behind in that fourth position. Do keep your eye on 8th position, Alessio Bender, 49 seconds off the race lead short, not getting fastest lap on the one that's just been completed, but we do believe is aiming for fastest lap on the final lap of the race. Can he do it?
I was about to say, but then, so he changed tires, not anything else. But that was too fast for the tire change.
If you're only doing tyres, if you're only doing tyres and not fuel, because I don't believe fuel and tyres is comparable.
He was in the box for maybe a couple, 10 seconds. 5 to 10 seconds.
I think it might be, he wasn't in the box.
It's weird, it's really weird. And then he doesn't have slipstream. Obviously, he's not gonna, I don't think he's gonna manage to be quicker than Nolder.
So maybe that wasn't the case. We'll need someone from Dura Esports to tell us exactly why Alessio Bender came into the pit lane. Could have been a mistake, could have not taken enough fuel.
Really, I'm really curious about that.
That's a very weird one.
Because throwing that position away, even though you don't really have an advantage from it, it's still weird. So we definitely have to go after that after the race.
This is when people are spamming it in the YouTube chat, and unfortunately at the moment I can't see it. So, sozzles. There you go. That's
true.
That's another one that young people would say.
I have no idea what it means.
Sorry.
Suzzles.
Yeah. Don't whiz-was. That's one from my childhood.
Whiz-was.
Whiz-was. Please don't worry about it.
Oh, I don't.
No.
Sounds terrible.
Fantastic.
If you don't like Material Girl, I don't like whiz. I'm petty like that.
That is unbelievably petty. Right, on to the Nordschleife then for the last time in this race. Who is coming out on top? Surely, again, we're not going to see any moves until they get down to the Dezember, because they all know that if Nicholas Nolder goes for it earlier.
Yeah, rarely enough, I think this is one of the situations where you can actually count on it being calm. They're not going to make a move now.
You reckon?
They're not. Yeah, I'm certain. It makes no sense at all.
Yeah.
Because it's just risk and zero gain.
It was Kimi Räikkönen in 2013 at the Korean Grand Prix where he struggled, I think it was behind Nico Hülkenberg, for the entire race. And then for some unknown reason, and I remember watching this, fairly new to the world of motorsport and all that kind of stuff, and I remember watching him dive down the inside into the first corner. It was the first time he had a move on Hülkenberg all race. Made a big dive down the inside of the first corner, and I remember thinking, why would you make a move down the inside of the first corner at Korea? Because it's immediately followed by an enormous straight with DRS, and guess what happened? Nico Hülkenberg came straight back through. And it's the same thing here. If you make a move for the race lead now, what's the point? Because the biggest straight and the biggest overtaking opportunity on the circuit
still coming up.
Is the final bit.
Exactly. No, it makes zero sense. I think they'll definitely stay like that. They have no threat from Thibaut, so there's no reason whatsoever. I think we can enjoy, actually, we can enjoy this last lap. after a very long season, no?
A very long season indeed.
It's been a long season, and this is the last lap.
I don't think they're enjoying it.
Oh, they're not. They're like full on beast mode right now.
Yeah.
We're like, oh, now we can sit back and enjoy this last wonderful lap. So can the viewers.
Sweat dripping down the face. Daniel Muth struggling, thinking, why did I put VR on for an hour and 40 minutes?
Enjoying it.
I'm just sat back, you know. I know afterwards I'm just gonna have a nice breather and head back, have a nice sleep. These lot, you won't be sleeping for hours after the race.
I'm sure.
Adrenaline
Oh, there
pumping
will be
through
tough discussions
veins.
on Discord. I can see it already. My phone will be lit up. Lit is another word.
Lit is another one. See, that's one that I do actually know. That's
Lit.
fine. No cap.
No cap. That's hilarious.
Thank you.
No
I do
cap.
know the young speak.
No cap is funny. You should use that more often. No cap fits perfectly. Just say something very risky, and they go, yeah, no cap.
Yeah, but the thing is, when I say things like no cap, everyone's like, did he just say no cap? Is that real? I just want to. I want to look at chat after this, and all I want to see is the big no sign, the circle with a line through it, and then just a cap. That's all I want to see.
Oh,
in chat
also, wait, that's so random. Is Daniel Muth driving with a stick shift? He's driving with a stick
It's not.
shift.
I don't think it's H pattern. No, it's stick sequential, I think.
Are you sure it doesn't look sequential?
I would like to see him go up the hill. I'm pretty sure he pulled it back twice.
That's major.
It's interesting. I've never driven.
It's so much faster to drive with a sequential.
I've never driven with a stick sequential.
I'm not sure if it's real stick sequential.
But
it looked weird because he was holding the stick for too long for it to be sequential.
Again, we'll have to ask Hugo Luis to pull him up again, and we'll have to see.
Not only to put him up,
Let's
I think
see.
we'll ask him after as well.
So he's about to change gear now. Pulls towards. See, he pulls back to the middle. Stick sequential.
Yeah. Okay.
I know.
Still,
things.
but he has pedals on the steering wheel.
Yeah, but then there's a whole thing with stick sequentials. It's just cool.
It's just cool.
It is cool.
He looks cool though with his glasses and the stick sequential. He looks like a proper.
Looks so good. Also, look at the enormous handbrake. Obviously, this is a man that does a bit of rally
I nearly
or
laughed. I
rallycross.
just wanted to say he's a proper G.
He's a proper
Yeah,
G.
because I've heard that word so often recently.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
I don't use it usually.
Am I not a proper G?
I don't
Okay.
even know what G means, to be honest. I just heard it so often. I know it's something cool.
No,
That's it.
fair enough.
It's someone cool. Proper G.
We are not proper Gs in the comedy booth here. Oh my goodness me, Daniel Muth going out a little bit wide as they work their way up towards the steel Strecker now. Right, into the final part of the Nordschleife. Let's see what's going to happen in this fight. Let's see this build up to quite a crescendo. Vince Peters leads, Nicholas Nolder, Daniel Muth. Again, we're still not expecting many dramas, but the thing is, this is where the highest likelihood of mistake happens, like that one from Vince Peters, who's run straight out wide in the carousel. He's overcommitted. Could that be tactical?
No.
Could it? I think it might
coming
be.
up with all the conspiracy.
I think there might be some tactics in there. Overdrive, because the thing is, there's no other way that you're going to move yourself back to third position now. If he overcommits,
Maybe.
drops back to third, now he's at the rear of the train.
He seems fucking cool about it. Look
seems-
at him.
he seems fine.
Seems unbothered.
He seems absolutely fine about this.
Yeah, seems
does
like it.
Vince Peters.
Seems like it. But now again, the gap.
Ooh, this is going to be very, very interesting. Could this be a big turning? Look, I mean, Nicholas Nolder, our race leader, I think your point is right. Are the gaps too large now? Half a second for Daniel Muth, a second back to Vince Peters, 2 seconds back to Alexander Thiebert, who will probably get a couple of little bits of slipstream from. I still think Thiebert's out of it. How interesting, though.
I'm very, very curious whether that was on purpose.
He doesn't seem that
too
flustered.
fine. Yeah, he seems too fine. He would be upset if that wasn't on purpose. He seems in the mode.
Well, hopefully we'll be able to.
And it's early enough for him to expect gaps, which he
come
can
down.
still close up.
Yeah. We'll have to talk to him post-race. Hopefully he finishes at least in the top 3. We are going to interview the top 3 after this, of course. Those that are 3 that are getting our main stay of prizes. We're going to see what's going to happen in this battle. I don't know who's going to come out on top of all this. We're about to come out onto the Duttinger Hoa.
Okay, if Peters actually pulls this off, then we know the driver of the day for sure.
Who wins this race?
Who? You're asking me again?
Who wins this race right now? Look at how much.
I'm going for Peters.
Pushing. Who wins? You think it's Peters?
YOLO. I'm going for Peters.
YOLO, you're going for Peters. I would go for Peters as well, but I can't do that.
You're very YOLO as well.
I'm going to go Daniel Muth. I think VR power is the way forward. Let's see. Final lap, final time onto the Dezember. Now the slipstream is going to build. Let's see the bump drafting coming in from Vince Peters, already trying to push Daniel Muth up to the back of Nicholas Nolder before he will then try and find his way past. There is going to be a big sitting duck for Nolder, the current race leader. Well, now that is Daniel Muth. Up the hill they'll start to go towards the bridge, of course, towards Antonsbusch, and that final section at Tiergarten. No look from Vince Peters at the moment. Lights flashing once more from Alexander Thieber. Obviously, he is most certainly out of this battle. Can Nicholas Nolder come back into the fight as the top two go side by side? Big smile for Vince Peters. They go under the bridge and start dropping down the hill. 0.2 of a second is third place of Nicholas Nolder. Side by side for the race lead. Daniel Muth over to the right-hand side of the race circuit. Vince Peters onto the left. They head their way into the braking zone. It's Tiergarten. Bit of a squeeze there coming in from Vince Peters as Daniel Muth is throwing everything at this into the final complex. And Daniel Muth might have overcooked it into the final corner. Almost got to the arrow to the barrier as Nicholas Nolder's going to go for the up and under, trying to take over the race lead. Daniel Muth, I think, might just do it. There's going to be hundreds between them as they cross the line. It is Daniel Muth on top here in the season finale of the NGK NTK Esports Cup. He is victorious at the Nürburgring. Nicholas Nolder behind, Vince Peters and Alexander Thieber top four. But what a battle coming down into Tiergarten on the final lap.
That was so tense. I'm speechless. That was so intense.
He's very happy, isn't he? And rightfully so. What a way to have done it as well.
Oh my.
I thought he completely overcooked it. I thought he was into the barrier. I thought Nicholas Nolder was going to win that race.
No, he was full on secure.
That's crazy.
But oh my. I'm really sad though because Peters did the right thing. You saw how Nolder suffered being on P1.
Yeah.
Didn't work out. Came in P3 and Peters knew that was coming for him.
Okay, here's the thing though, if it was intentional.
It was. You're so right about that. You're so right about that.
If it was intentional, as we all know, he would have said, if he'd have won, he would have said it was intentional. I wonder though if, as we see the replay of the non-Dezember.
I think he'll say.
You think he'll say it?
Yeah,
fair enough. Talk me through this. Talk me through what is going through the head of Vince Peters.
Okay, so this is obvious, right? He thinks he's got it full under control. I think the only thing that's going to happen after is that Daniel stays on his line because he thought he can squeeze him out. Peters thought he can squeeze him out, but he can't.
Well, let's see it here. So they're going to go up towards Antonsbusch here, and of course where the bridge
thinks he's won it. Now he thinks he's won it.
Pulls it back over to the left-hand side.
But look at Daniel. Even though he's behind, he doesn't. He keeps the line. He full push, late braking, full push, doesn't give up. Now he has the inside.
But then this bit here, look, there's contact between them here. They just brush into each other.
No, but fair enough. Daniel's in the right.
Oh yeah.
All good.
I kind of wonder, because Vince Peters did that, and again, the drag race towards the line there, Vince Peters and all of that, I've got to say, he knew about the move from earlier on because he gave it a good go. He went to the right side going into the pit stops and made it on stick. Either way, we'll look at the very, very provisional results from this race. Just 400 a second separating the top two. Daniel Muth, Nicholas Nolder, and then 0.2 of a second separating the top three. To be fair, Vince Peters only a little bit behind. Then we wait a second and a bit back to Alexander Thieber. Harry Fox having a little bit of a boring race by himself. Dion Romero and Michael Hafler-Darson. Alessio Bender had 2 pit stops in the race. We're not 100% sure as to why. We believed it was for tyres, but he wasn't stationary for long enough. And Nicholas Nolder set the fast lap of the race anyway, so does receive the VRS subscription. With all that, again, very provisionally. Tamara Sion and Naz Adati inside the top 10 with Sarah Dove, your favourite, you're her number 1 fan now, being down in 11th spot, just outside the top 10. Luca Munro, I still think an excellent drive to 10th position. Simon Stuchko, Mike Barber and Dave Christie representing commentators all around the world with their mediocrity behind the wheel. You heard Checo Suppanen in 60th position, Noah Hendricks and then Dario Dills. Sam Chapman was the driver that dropped down a lap quite late on. Tango de Kock also having a couple of problems coming back into the pit lane a few times. Same with Sophie Aaron went even on the first lap, going down into the Dunlop hairpin. Retirements from both Belickis, Louis Belicki and Tim Belicki. Norbert Leitner had a bit of a spin going into the carousel. John Ellen had that moment going up towards the steel strecker where he got hit by Yanshi Lin. Patrick Thompson had big drama on the very first lap, as did Mike Plug at the rear end of the field. That is us basically done of racing. Hopefully we'll be able to catch up with our podium finishes, of course. You can see there the prizes being dished out on the podium. So Daniel moved the Bavarian Simtech wheel. Second place with the NGK branded tailored rig, sim racing rig that we saw a little bit earlier on in the show. And of course Vince Peters with the Alpha Tech Racing dashboard. I think Vince Peters might be a little bit, I think he'll be happy with the prize, fair enough. But obviously you always have when you win a prize, but he knows top spot was absolutely on offer there for Vince Peters, and he was so close.
That's my point, yeah. He will be for sure happy about the podium, but as we talked before, if you've been there, if you were leading the race for a couple laps on the Nordschleife, you'll be bummed it didn't work out. And we'll ask him in a minute, but I really think that was intentional, and I'm kind of upset that it didn't work out for him.
It's one of those ones, we saw it instantly.
It would have been insane.
So good, so good. I saw it instantly, and I was like, oh my God, he's locked up and gone straight on, and then, oh, he's fine.
Yeah, he's fine. But we can talk to the race leader first. I think that's also some congratulations are in order.
Absolutely. We'll see about grabbing these interviews. So they're taking the headset off, that's fine. Right,
he's back.
Let's jump in to an interview with our race winner. VR headset thrown off, wheel pounded coming towards the line. Can you hear us?
Hey, I can hear you. Let me see if I can talk with this.
Oh, right, your microphone's on that side. Fair enough. How was the race? How was the emotion coming across the line? That looked incredible. Oh. Here we go.
Yeah, sorry guys.
Oh, there we go. Now he's okay. It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
You're all right. How was that one for you? I mean, like the emotion must have been incredible coming across the line. Obviously, taking the lead going into the carousel and taking the victory.
Yeah, that was a crazy race. I didn't expect that to win, honestly. I felt like the other guys were a little bit faster, but yeah, the thing with the Toyota is like the draft is so strong that even if you're a little bit slower, then you can still fight at the beginning.
Now, racing with VR, I've seen a lot of drivers race with VR, particularly in the last sort of 3 or 4 months. What's that like? Because that seems, when I've tried it, it gets a little bit too sweaty on the face. You've done an hour and 40 minutes around the Nordschleife with it and done remarkably well.
Oh yeah, it's definitely a little bit more exhausting, but yeah, the immersion is like nothing quite like on the monitor. So yeah, if I couldn't race in VR, I wouldn't sim race at all.
We see you're still using an older kind of steering wheel for your racing. Are you excited to have won the Bavarian steering wheel?
Yeah, definitely something quite interesting. Definitely have to figure out what I can do with it. But yeah, that's quite exciting.
Well, I think you've had set up your own very individual rig with the hand sequential stick. How do you call it? The word's gone.
Yeah, there's a sequential gear shift.
Yeah, exactly. We already were wondering whether you're using Age gearbox. No, really cool.
Yeah,
Congratulations again. Very cool that you kept it cool and you took the win. I think we're all very excited to see that last lap fight, and you took the best of it.
Yeah, thank you guys, and yeah, special thanks to my team, Nürburgring Esports. Awesome guys, and yeah, I'm quite happy to be part of the team.
Well, cheers, Daniel. Thank you again. An excellent victory and very well deserved. Lovely.
Congrats, Daniel.
We'll jump over to second place, I do believe, Nicholas Nolder, who seemed to be having quite a few conversations driving around the Nordschleife, and a few giggles as well. It seemed like a good race. You were race leading at one point, then you dropped down to third position, back up to second. What an exciting final sector there.
Yeah, that was insane. I think I started the last lap in P2 or something. So and I knew that Vince could like drop out at the carousel to get behind, to get the run on two of us. He didn't did that. He did it in the first carousel, and then at that point I thought, okay, it's over for me. I'm gonna get P3. And then on the technical here, I don't know how, but somehow I was close enough. I forgot what I wanted to say. Somehow I got P1, P2. That's.
You seem pretty happy
now, sorry.
regardless.
It's been a long evening for all of us, I think. That was quite exhausting for you, I'm sure.
Yeah, how exhausted are you after a race? I mean, an hour and 10 minutes, or hour and 40 minutes rather, around here is pretty tough.
Really exhausted. Yeah, I didn't practice for this, so I had no idea what I would expect. Only the longest stint I did was 2 laps,
Wow.
and then the race was I think 9 laps or something. And really exhausted. I also really got to pee because I drank a lot of water during the race.
Well, we won't hold you up too long.
really
We
fun.
just wish you a big congratulations. Obviously, we've been getting onto this big finale for a whole season. You did well. You performed under pressure. And you get a NGK NTK branded sim rig, so that's a nice finish to the whole season, I guess, also for you. And I hope the whole exhaustion works out for you.
Yeah, this is really cool season. I want to say thanks to you guys for a really cool organization and pretty fun to race the guys. Everything went pretty clean, and I think everyone behaved pretty much. So very cool.
We
very
love
cool.
watching
Thank
you guys as well.
Yeah, indeed. Thank you, Nicholas. And again, we'll run straight off, I'm sure. We did see him drinking quite a bit of water. We'll jump over now to Vince Peters as well, who qualified in 7th position, worked your way up to the race lead, dropped, obviously worked your way, I think, to 2nd position, then dropped down going into the pit lane, then dropped back up going into the pit lane as well, then came out as the race leader, led for the final stint of the race, got to the final part of the lap, went wide at the carousel. Now, was that intentional?
No, of course not. Yeah, I was like I just tried something. I practiced the straight with my teammates earlier in the week, and it was just being lucky in the end, and I was unlucky on the last lap.
Yeah, we were already speculating whether you're going to say that or not, because we didn't expect that. Apparently your colleagues did, but we thought it was a very great strategic move, and we're just upset, even though you obviously still performed amazingly, coming from P7 to P3, and doing well in the championship. We kind of thought that you're going to win this race with that strategy.
Thanks for believing in me.
Talking about how difficult it was transitioning, obviously from the season where we're talking about short sprint racing, where you've obviously got the reverse grid race as well, to this, which is almost more of like an endurance stint. What are the different kind of styles that you had to bring to this to at least compete at the front?
I think, in the other races you had more laps of quali, and I wasn't as nervous as I was now, and that's why I made a mistake on my quali lap now. And I practiced more for this race because I really wanted to get a good quali lap, but it didn't work out in the end. The race luckily did. And the other races, the huge difference is of course the reverse grid. I think I managed that quite well all season. It would be nice to have that in the final, but unlucky.
To put you on P1 in the first place, we saw that you did something in the pit box. You gained an advantage. Did you pit less fuel compared to your teammates?
Yeah, I did. But I think I found a way to fuel save quite a lot. When we were bum drafting, I shifted to 6th gear. So and it was equally fast as P4, gear 4. So that saved me quite a lot of fuel, and that way I could overtake them in the pits. I think the most unlucky was Alexander. He got the unlucky part of leading the whole race, or the whole first part, and he paid off that.
Yeah, that's true for sure.
Yeah. Well, Vince, mate, you've been excellent throughout the season, excellent here at the season finale. Sadly, you can't, just a little short of the victory by only 0.2 of a second. But hey, do you know what? It was exciting. I hope you're happy as well. We certainly have been entertained here.
Yeah, it was great fun. Thanks for the season and the broadcast.
Thanks
Cheers,
for driving.
Vince. We do have one more. We do have Alexander Thieber, who we obviously caught up with pre-race. We're now catching up with again. How are you feeling now? Obviously, I'm sure you had a few laps to kind of accept the positions post pit stop. What actually happened? Talk us through it.
Basically that's the thing with the Nürburgring Nordschleife, or with any track in general. If you are the leader, you're basically the loser at the end, because everyone else behind you can save a lot of fuel, way more. So I had to refuel even though I was trying to save quite some fuel, I still had to refuel more than everyone else, and that cost me at the end the draft. And when you're out of the draft and you have a pack of 2 or 3 guys pushing each other further away, I did everything I could. A few of these last laps were masterpieces, and I still had no chance to win. But it is how it is, so congratulations to the others. They did a good job, and
Was there no way you could have dropped to the rear of the group, and like what we saw from Vince Peters? Or was that too risky in the opening stage?
Well, it was. In the end, I should have let someone else by. That actually, I think that would have made a difference. And everything else, was out of my hands.
Yeah, that's really frustrating. Anyways, I mean, you really dominated the entire season. We saw what potential you have. It's obviously a pity that it didn't work out in the final. But like you said, you did a masterpiece there and everyone saw it, so at least you get the honors of being championship favorite.
Yeah. Well, Alex, we'll let you go. We'll let you have a breather. I know it's been a frustrating evening for you. Thank you so much for anyway, at least coming for an interview. I do respect that.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Great
you.
sportsmanship.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Perfect.
and thank you for the great streams all season.
Thank you, Alex.
Appreciate it.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. There we go. Alexander Thieber, obviously
That's so
championship favourite coming into this.
That
but
is really sad.
do you know, I can understand that frustration. You know, when you're, it's one of those things of racing in a race where there's a load of slipstream. It can be frustrating, it can be difficult, but I will say we do have a very worthy champion in the form of Daniel Muth. That was an incredible performance.
We do, for sure. Yeah, it was intense, and I mean, we knew what was going to come in the last lap, but still, it was still very, very surprising. So yeah, I'm still upset for Alexander Thieber, because the same way we said everything is open for tonight and anyone can win, the same way anyone can lose. And a guy like Alexander Thieber being a season favorite, and we talked about it before, is he going to win, is he going to win, is it all already, written? And obviously it wasn't, so yeah, good for us, but obviously still a pity for him.
It still has been a very exciting season. So again, we'd like to thank all of you for joining us through the NGK NTK Esports Cup, because we've had a great run. From myself, Lewis McGlade, from Patricia Stelazzano, we are over for the season, and hopefully there will be even more to come, because to be fair, we've had an exciting one, and I can't wait to see who's going to be on top next time. But Daniel Muth is our series champion here at the Nürburgring, and will take home the top prize, and we hope to see you in the near future. Until then, though, have a very warm goodbye.
Thank you, guys.